Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only podcast that, based on Scotty's reaction right before we started recording, perhaps my mute switch doesn't actually mute to the audience; it just mutes to my own headphones, which makes me really question the past several months and years that we've been doing this podcast, Scotty. Where I thought all my burps, my coughs, and farts were muted, but in fact they might not have been at all, and now I'm going through an anxiety spiral thinking about that. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey. And with me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing on this fine Monday morning? We're back to Monday, baby.
We are back to Monday. Probably last Monday for a long time, at least.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Your boy got a new job, so your boy now unavails on Monday.
So Monday's not happening anymore. So if you enjoyed Monday Ring Post, it's over. Some weeks there just may not be an episode, like that just may be the result of this. So congrats to Ryan, obviously.
We'll figure it out. We when we weren't able to do Mondays, we tended to be able to figure something out. So I'm sure we'll work to figure that out.
That's what you think. I'm putting doubt into the minds of the people. That's what I'm here for.
I don't know if I like that, but that's fine, I guess.
What I'm here for. But yeah, I'm here. I'm awake, ready to go. I don't know.
A classic Scotty ring.
I'm not all ramped up. I'm just kind of here. So let's do it.
Well, yes, we have obviously a lot to get to. Not necessarily topic wise, but I know content wise. Obviously, we're talking Double or Nothing. AEW's pay-per-view last night. Their 6-year anniversary basically show took place last night in Arizona. We'll talk about that. As we tend to do, I'm sure that'll take up most of our conversation. We'll also be talking about the WrestleMania location shakeup that took place this week. Moving around, moving locations. What is this? WrestleMania 2, 4? I forget which one it was. It was early. Saturday night's main event also happened this weekend. And of course, time permitting, we'll talk about Marigold Shine Forever as well.
We're not going to get to anything besides AEW. I don't know why we're acting like
yeah, I know that we're gonna, as always, we're always gonna eat a bunch of AEW talk. So let's, I think, just get straight into it, Scotty, because I think we kind of have to for time. Thank you everybody for listening to us. I should say for the top. So let's get to AEW Double or Nothing in Glendale, Arizona, the Desert Diamond Arena. Cage Match here doesn't have a listing of the full attendance number, but I'll see if I can pull that up. 12,000 or a little or surrounding 12,000
people.
12 total people. Damn, that sucks. It was a bunch of AI. Is that what it was? It was a bunch of AI in the crowd.
It was all
the AI extras. Well, this was obviously a 6-year anniversary of the AEW Double or Nothing show, where it kicked off 6 years ago, as that makes sense. Scotty, what were your sort of overall thoughts watching the program last night?
This company isn't dead. It all depended on the main event for me, if I was going to decide if this company was dead to me or not. The company is not dead to me, so that's a win. Probably the most I enjoyed watching AEW in about, I don't want to say a year because I don't know what happened a year ago, so I can't say a year, but in a very long time.
Well, I feel like for you, Scotty, it's been on a sort of downward slope that would have this. It was like a peak and valley roller coaster that trended downward since.
Sure. I mean, I've mostly hated everything since Jon Moxley won the world title. So,
but then there was also the MJF run that we both hated, obviously.
That was also really bad. No,
it picked up with Joe, picked up with Samoa Joe, and then
yeah, and Swerve were good.
Yeah.
So definitely since Swerve was world champion, I'll go with. But it feels a bit higher than both of those because Hangman actually got to win. And I will say this, I'm not saving it till we get to the main event. I feel like in real time we saw the pivot we've been talking about forever happen. It felt like, just based on the reactions of people connected to the business, people that are just fans of the business, it feels like you actually saw something happened that felt different from what's been the status quo with this company, if that makes sense, in terms of you kind of started to get used to what was gonna happen. I don't know, like, especially with the Moxley stuff, I just feel like everything became like, "Oh, he's just gonna win. He's just." Now it actually feels like
the
we
vibes
changed direction. We're changing direction real time because I don't think I saw a single person in full confidence or even any confidence say this week Hangman Page was gonna win.
Oh,
But
well, that's because you're not on Blue Sky. Blue Sky was it was almost half and half Ospreay and Hangman.
okay, well, let me tell you, no one had hope on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
to and again, people connected, not most of them would say Ospreay was gonna win. At one point, Ospreay might have been winning this match, but it doesn't freaking matter because he didn't, and Hangman Page did. And it felt like the end of a story without being the end of a story, if that makes sense. Because again, it's been so long of him getting back to this spot, and now he's going to go to WrestleMania 30. I mean, all in Texas, because WrestleMania 32 logos are this company. Have you seen them? Have you compared them? They're exactly the same.
They're pretty similar.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I look at them, I'm like, this feels like WrestleMania. That hopefully it's not WrestleMania 32. WrestleMania 32 is really bad. But like, oh my god, they're like so similar. I was like, they're not even in Dallas. Wasn't that like the whatever? But I'm very much excited for Hangman. I'm very much excited for this company. But I will say this, Ryan, and this is a guarantee. If he loses to John Moxley, I'm not kidding. I will never watch this company again. That is my limit. I said it was Swerve and I gave it more time. That's the limit because I don't think it's believable after the way this story was told today that anyone should be beating John Moxley for the world title besides Hangman Page.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more obviously when we get to the main
And
event.
certainly not Everest Boy.
Yeah. Well, I need to give people the context. Obviously last week Scotty was in the throes of I guess lack of hope, pessimism that Hangman obviously would win.
It's hard to have belief
yeah.
after a lot of just being wrong with the Moxley stuff, especially.
Yeah, and I think based off what you just said and what I said about the sort of disparity between Twitter and Blue Skies vibes, I think you were also on social media in a place that wasn't.
I don't have AEW on my feed.
I'm sure, but I'm sure there's
until
people
last
talking
night
about AEW on your feed.
No, but I don't really read it. Like, I
Oh,
don't have much on it. Like, my feed has been perfected for my taste
fair enough.
after all this time. But last night, boy, oh boy, it was back.
Yeah.
Understandably, the pay-per-views take over.
Yeah.
For the next
But I want people also to get the context that, like, at one point during this week, you messaged me on Slack that you were convinced that somehow Darby was going to be in the match
when
or
that
replace
man
people. Like the moment
when he finished the Everest thing, I was like,
that moment, and I saw it on Twitter as well because I jumped in on Twitter at one point when that happened. That moment of him climbing on Everest and like doing the flag, doing the DDP thing, like that broke so many people's brains. Where it was like somehow Darby's gonna get back in the match, and
I didn't think for All In. I just thought he would get the win.
I think for me, I'm reading that as like Darby might be because I think he might have to like train, get back in the ring, all this stuff. But like to me, I'm reading that as like he might be like the first challenger after whoever wins at Texas.
Yeah, but there's not a single part of me that needs to see Darby Allin as world champion.
Yeah, well, and I think, and I was thinking about that and AEW's world champions. And I was thinking, I don't know when I was thinking about it during the pay-per-view last night, but I had the thought of, has like AEW really done the gimmick where they sort of belt up someone with the world championship, sort of, you can maybe argue prematurely to the degree so that they can elevate them in the eyes of like the rest of the fans, like the Evil title run in New Japan, or Big E, I would say to a certain degree, right?
Sure. I know what you mean.
Like WWE, a lot of other companies do that with the world title. They belt up someone so that basically elevating them from the mid card to the upper card so that they can be a challenger moving forward. I was thinking about that during the pay-per-view last night. I was like, I think that's why, to me, like Darby doesn't quite make sense right now, because that would feel they don't do that. It is long winding roads to get to world champions that I feel like have always made sense. I mean, if anything, maybe Samoa Joe.
I feel like the closest would be Joe and Swerve. I know Swerve was like at a point where he needed to
Swerve
become
less,
world champion,
Swerve
but even so, to me that was like elevation of like he is the guy.
Yes.
So there was elevation there.
And in that reign, he more than proved that he is
right, because a lot of that conversation was, oh, can he be that guy? And that reign was he is that guy.
Yeah.
Those would be the only two. And I guess with Joe was just like Joe's different because he was a bandage on a bad time.
Yes.
Because boy, oh boy, MJF held that belt for 406 days. I'll give MJF some credit though. This Moxley title reign feels like the longest title reign I've ever lived through. Like it just never ends, and they're both really bad. Both reigns really bad.
Which is longer, legitimately?
Well, MJF was a 406 days, so Moxley's not even close to that.
226 is what
Moxley's only at half, pretty much. So that's crazy to think about. That I'm just trying to imagine 200 more days of John Moxley's title reign.
Mox is currently the fourth longest reign behind his 2020 reign, Kenny Omega, and of course MJF. His
Interesting.
His 2020 reign was 277, and he's currently at 226. I don't know how many days it is between now and All in Texas, but I don't think that's enough to pass the 2020.
When's it, July?
July.
Less than 2 months.
Yeah, so I don't think that's enough, but maybe might get him to 286, something like that. Anyways, it's like, so to that extent, like it felt like just to like bring in Darby, just like who they like telling these stories of these people fighting for the championship and everything. So Darby doing it out of nowhere because he climbed Mount Everest feels like a very big WWE move. I mean, granted,
I thought they would have him back by All In. He'd win some matches, and by All Out, it would be winning. It was more Moxley having to hold the title even longer, which was probably the worst part of it all.
Yeah, but luckily we have. For right now, I think we're celebrating the win of Adam Page in the main event. I think right now I'm sure in like 2 days' time, Scotty, the dread feeling that Page is going to lose is going to pop back up again for everybody online. But we'll get there when we get there.
It's one of those things where you can't have him win the way he won and then lose. Like you've seen those situations in wrestling before. This is one of them where it's just like you can't have them lose.
Rest of the show, this was in front of 8,179 tickets distributed as of yesterday 6 p.m. So that's, unless you get some more, that's 2 hours before the show. So unless you get the more, a little over 8,000. So I think pretty good based on where they are for attendance wise. I feel like that is an improvement. I don't know what it is year over year, but that feels good. I know they've been on that downslope. Rest of the card, though, I do want to say, Scotty, I thought this show, top down, killed it. I think the show was great. I guess not necessarily a spoiler warning, because that's the point of the show where we're reviewing and talking about it, but this is right now my Clubhouse leaner for show of the year. I thought this show, top down, was that good.
People calling the show of the year before like Okada and Bailey, and I was like, hold on.
I could get it. I could calling it show of the. I started having the thoughts of show of the year possibilities after Ricochet and Mark Briscoe, and then Hurt Syndicate, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a solid enough, fine, good match the Hurt Syndicate, but yes, we'll talk about the rest of it. I really like this show top down. I liked every single match on the show, to varying degrees. Obviously, there's some I loved, obviously, but I liked everything on here. I thought this was a really great show. Last year's attendance was 9,000, so it did go year over year down, but that's only a difference of 1,000. So, is what it is. We're still in the attendance woes, and that hopefully, I think with the vibes of television for the past couple months, Scotty, and the vibes of this pay-per-view, we'll see how it is on the buy rates and all that stuff. But I think those vibes presumably would start picking up attendance, right in line for All in Texas, because attendance is always somewhat delayed based off of TV and pay-per-views and all that sort of stuff. But do you have any other grand thoughts about this pay-per-view?
No, I don't think so. I think most of it's just match by match at that point. I don't have any massive thoughts. I mean, I know I'm gonna get yelled at for not liking certain things, but hey, that's what I'm here for. But overall, I thought it was a great show. I will say that. I'm not gonna sit here and like lie. I did think it was like one of like I said, with just the Hangman moment alone, it was one of those shows where it was the most enjoyment I've had watching AEW in a very, very long time. I will say this though. These shows are way too fucking long. I can't stress this enough. Like, I was so tired. I took a nap literally minutes before the show started. Like, I had finished the nap and I was still exhausted by the time it was ending. I look at the clock. I'm like, it says 12:10. This match is like just getting going. Oh man, we gotta cut this down. There's no reason that you have to have the Paragon versus what's it called on the show.
Don Callis.
Yeah, you could put a different match there. Like it. If that's why that was there, like also like FTR Nigel versus that never ended. Like what? So many, just such a long show.
I tend to agree with you, but for whatever reason, my body woke up at 4 a.m. that morning, and then my wife and I did yard work all day. So I have a show is too long in a different sense.
Way more exhausted.
Yeah, that was the show is too long in a different sense than the way that I was up since 4. And to be clear, went to bed I think at midnight the previous night, so I slept for 4 hours and then stayed up till I don't know 1 watching this show. I was dying in a different way. Part of it, I do kind of feel like I need to watch. I kind of feel like I need to rewatch the main event, just because. But
the main event's like, yeah,
I need to give it more proper.
Like just thinking like how tired you probably were.
I was dying, Scotty. I was
like I was dying, and I made sure to like take a little sleep beforehand. You were dying a whole different way.
I famously can't nap. So that's
do you agree that the show's too long? Like, this is ridiculous. 12 and a half hours. Jesus Christ. 4.5 hours.
12 and a half. I think 12 and a half showers
with a pre-show, by the way. So it's really 5.5 hours.
I don't know. Like I said, I really like this show, and it's a show of the year contender. And
that's fine.
Can I say that it was too long when I liked it all? I think yes. I think
so. There's things that didn't need to be here.
I don't know. Like, I think you could cut a match, but there's not like a whole lot of fat on here for me. I think if anything, you might be cutting match times down. Like, yes, the Don Callis Paragon match didn't really need to be on here, but looking how they constructed the card, it's like, yeah, they purposely put a match in the death spot after Anarchy in the Arena. I get it. In terms of construction of a card, I understand. But that's why I'm sort of like, yeah, you can cut that, but then that would affect the main event if you didn't have a match there. And then it's like, well, then you can put something else there. Well, then it's like, but then also it's like, if you cut a match, Scotty, they're probably going to make other matches longer, and then it's all that stuff of like, if anything, I would maybe.
I don't think you could have made anything longer on this show. Every match felt like as long as it probably should have been, if not longer.
Yeah, I think
nothing felt short for me.
Yes. Me shaving
I
time
guess except for the Paragon match, but like when we got there, I was like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. And look, and we'll talk about it. I think they did a good enough job for being in the deadest spots of all death spots.
You should have saw my face when they were walking out there. I was like, I forgot about these.
Yeah.
These
We'll talk about that,
which is a shame because obviously I love
you love Adam Cole, famously.
I like Adam Cole the guy a lot.
Yes.
Adam Cole the wrestler, forgot he's TNT champion until I saw a graphic this week that's like he's gonna be on Collision. I was like, oh right, him. That title's always so funny.
I was gonna say that
it
about
goes through its times.
When I brought up the world title doesn't get like hot shotted to like elevate new people. TNT title that happens at the TNT.
Oh baby, we hot shot that thing like nobody's business.
They put the title on Darby because they knew he was gonna be at the Great Muta retirement show or retirement. Not even the retirement show. That was the one of
that was the Great Muta retirement show.
That was
the last Great Muta match.
Was it the last?
Keiji Muto retired later, but the Great Muta retired there.
You are correct. My apologies.
So you were correct. I'm just giving you credit.
That is fair. That is fair.
Easy to confuse though.
That they are two different people. That is why.
Because you were like, what is it? What is he saying that I don't? That I'm not? No, you were right. Two different people.
Well, let's go match by match. Let's start off with, of course, the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament final match between Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter. I thought this match was fantastic, Scotty. Like I said, based off of my body deciding to wake up at 4 a.m, I think I need to give the main event another rewatch. But as of right now, Scotty, this is my match of the night. Whoa. I thought this match fucking ruled. I thought this match was a masterclass in pacing and building anticipation towards the finish, getting the crowd on Jamie Hayter's side, having Jamie Hayter having her back worked on and connect in that crowd connection and using that crowd connection for the match's advantage, having her back worked on throughout the match, having her earn it, having her scratch and claw to get any bout of offense. I thought it was a masterclass in building that and, that building that Jenga tower of a great wrestling match. And having and by the end of it, the audience was like,
"You're making a great point. The Jenga tower just got
me." You're welcome. But you know what I'm saying? That analogy
I get it.
Kind of fit.
It does. It's a good one.
I guess technically a Jenga tower is something you pull out and then it falls collapse.
And they fall. Yeah. We gotta put it back together.
A kerplunk. Do you remember kerplunk?
Kerplunk. Jesus.
Not the same idea, but anyways, we're moving on. Yeah, and I think by the end of it, the audience was literally like on bated breath by every single pinfall attempt, and then to have Mercedes Moné literally steal it in a way that, like, by the way, wasn't even like a steal. She DDT'd her on the top of her head, on her dome, which looked crazy. But that spot. Into the finish, having Mercedes Moné immediately leave and run up the ramp, just fit the character perfectly, and it made this match great for me. I loved it, and obviously we set up I guess spoiler alert for the Toni Storm Mina Shirakawa match, I guess, but sets up a all-time match potentially at All in Texas. What do you think of this opener?
Yeah, I thought it was terrific. I think watching this match, you were reminded how good Jamie Hayter is.
Yes.
It's been a long time. Yeah. It's been a long time since I watched Jamie Hayter. I'm like, right. You are this guy. I mean, Jamie Hayter versus like Alex Windsor and Eve this year was really good. But like other than that
was I think that was probably the real first match of like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did want to shout out that match because I was like, that was actually great, but that wasn't on AEW, and that's what most people are waiting for. So in AEW, this is the first time I've seen Jamie Hayter be at that world championship level that she was at before the back injury.
Yeah.
And I mean, like the smartness of these two to work the match the way they did, in a way where Jamie Hayter was wholeheartedly the favorite by the end, was incredibly done, right? Because a lot of the conversation going into it was, Jamie Hayter, she's not the same as she was, and by the end, she was that Jamie Hayter. And I always had said in the lead up to you, I was like, I just think Mercedes is winning just because one, it's the biggest match. No matter how many people pitch, Tony versus Jamie in their history, and then Athena and Mercedes. Athena disappeared from television the moment that was over.
Yes.
Right? Like there was no and again, my other thing is if she was gonna go to the finals, Mercedes that is, why are you having her lose? She's undefeated. That's her entire thing. And you didn't. I thought the finish was so well done. Me and roll ups, yeah, it's a up and down, but when it's a roll up like that, you just have appreciation for it. One, because
almost not even a roll up.
That's so true. Close. But it was so perfectly done, like the reversal itself into that. Yes. Because it's like you stole it away from Jamie and the fans because of what the match and the story was.
Yeah.
So it was a brilliant roll up finish. And like you said, Mercedes just booking it after was great for the character, great for the story.
Yeah.
A really fantastic match. I know like people will start ranking like what's Mercedes' best AEW match. It's in the conversation comfortably. If it's not one, it's two, probably. Yeah. Just based on the top of my head. Just a fantastic job and a way for her to celebrate a year as an AEW wrestler now, right? Because last year was her in-ring debut with Willow. She's had some amazing matches, and I think the most important part about this match isn't necessarily. We'll talk about Tony versus Mercedes when we get to Tony later. But it feels like you reestablished Jamie Hayter at the same time, and I think that's just a massive, massive win for the division overall. Is getting Jamie Hayter back to the level that Jamie Hayter could be. So. Win all around. Yeah, absolutely fantastic way to start this show. And for me, it actually set the tone so high that I was like, I don't know if we're gonna come close to this. Good luck, everyone. Just because it was that great. And the openers usually are great, don't get me wrong, but this was with the energy for it too, it was just perfectly placed as well. I thought this being the opener, nothing else would have been better as the opener.
Of course, you mentioned where does this rank in Mercedes all-time AEW matches?
What does Cage Match tell me?
Oh, a Cage Match has a current bug where it doesn't have any matches ratings on the match guide.
Oh,
so I can't filter anything. So it's a little bug right now. That's fine, I guess. It hurts me and my feelings, but that's fine.
Ryan's eyes started to twitch a little.
Yep. But I do think it's up there. It might be my favorite. The other things that come to mind are Willow.
One of the Chris matches and then the Willow match is my.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think those are probably your top three. I don't know. She had multiple Chris matches, and all of them are really good. So
this is 8.59 on Cage Match
currently. Yes.
So.
I do think this match was incredibly strong. Like I said, the pacing I thought was it. There was a quickness to it. There was a little bit of rough around the edges, stuff that you kind of get with Mercedes matches. But I think at the end of the day, that didn't ultimately matter for it.
Sure.
It ended up being an incredibly
it's always
strong match.
An expectation to it, to be fair. Yes. And it's a natural ability that I actually like in her matches.
It makes it more real.
Yeah,
which is not everything a good thing and bad thing,
For sure. Those types of things happen in a real fight. Sometimes when matches are too perfect, I'm like, all right,
yeah,
enough. Yeah. I get it. You could do the flippy dippies and stuff, but yeah, I have to call it flippy dippies. But hers, she always has that realness to it, and it's a signature of her. At the end of the day, truthfully, it's not going to be the cleanest match, but it's going to be one of the most exciting. Yeah. And for this show, I mean, it definitely was. And again, congrats to Jamie as well. I know she lost, but she feels like she's back, which is nice.
I agree. Next up, FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Jax Harwood defeat the team of Dana Garcia and Nigel McGuinness. Scotty, what did you think of this one?
I did not like it.
Really?
My least favorite match of the show.
Least favorite match.
I was so bored.
Okay.
FTR is good. I could care less about Daniel Garcia and his fire up. I also felt that it was a little too long. I thought Nigel did well, but at the same time, I know what Nigel is at this point.
Sure.
That sounds mean. But like I just know, it's hard. Like originally when he came back, it was pretty easy.
49 years old.
Yeah, like shout out to him. Obviously, great shape, and he still does a pretty good job. But like I remember, like when he first came back, he kind of got amped up, like we were gonna come into this like big time match, and now I just kind of like, all right, well, we'll do good. I mean, it got them over more. FTR, so that's the important thing. I just couldn't get into it like I wanted to. I think I was into it the first half, and then it just kept going. The Tony Schiavone stuff, and I was like, all right, man.
Sure. Yeah, I think this might be the greatest disparity between the two of us because I also love this match. I went like a 4 1/4 on it. I thought this match was great.
Yeah, probably the biggest disparity we've ever had.
I think as well. I thought this was really fun. I was into it the entire time. Yes. I mean, there are definitely some things I was like, yeah, this isn't like a perfect thing. There was some stuff that the Tony Schiavone stuff was just kind of started meandering a little bit. But I thought it was great. I thought it was incredible fun. I thought it was a great tag team cohesion. I posted this on Blue Sky afterwards that I feel like this is the best version of FTR that I've ever seen because the way they're wrestling feels like such an old school. They've always been old school Southern tag sort of vibes, but there's something about this version that just feels it's that to the nth. School. Yes, it's perfected. It's that to the nth degree. Constant, freaking Cash Wheeler feels like he is doing the best stuff in his career. Him going over and going over to Tony Schiavone and being like, I don't know, whatever he said, like something like shut up, you fucking old man, or whatever he said, dropping the F-bomb to Tony Schiavone. I greatly enjoyed that. I was like, yeah, baby.
I'll rephrase. This is not my least favorite match of the night. There's another tag match that I didn't.
I was going to say, the other tag match was weaker. What are you talking about?
I got to remember that one. They were my two weakest.
Sure. I can understand that.
But yeah, the other one was more of like, holy shit, one of these wrestlers are so bad. Continue.
This was to me very fun. Like I said, I think the best FTR I've ever seen. The best version of FTR. To me, this was, it was similar to a certain degree vibes that I felt after watching that Hurt Syndicate versus Private Party match, when I believe Hurt Syndicate won the titles. And that was a little bit different. Obviously,
they hurt people.
Yeah, that was, sub 10 minutes and going out there. But that was just like a match design. That was a match designed to like showcase the Hurt Syndicate and like this is our thesis statement. And this felt similar. Of like this is the thesis statement in ring of what FTR is moving forward. I thought. Are
you excited for what the payoff will be?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm excited to see them versus.
It might benefit old school wise.
I think I think you're right. I think it can work. I'm just unsure how it will
I was trying to mentally prepare me for the music hitting after this.
Yeah. I think I am willing to see how it goes. And I think I'm willing to see how the build is. But for right now, I'm like, all right, I'm here for that ride. We'll see how it goes in the end run. I don't necessarily think it will be bad right now, but it is this thing of like, all right, we'll see how it is. It's look, at the end of the day, what it would be, Scotty, is fun to see, Edge and Christian, Cope and
absolutely.
And Cage.
You don't have to call them Cope.
No, it would be fun to see them. So that's kind of that and this match is the high I'm currently riding.
That's kind of my selling point.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it'd be cool to see them, and I think they work good as a tandem. So I think that'll be great, actually.
Plus, it's the classic like tag team thing that we talk about all the time of like, them if you don't necessarily like them as singles or whatever, you put them in a tag team and they'll be able to hide whatever flaws they have.
Yeah, and obviously, I think there's always been a connection between those two sides.
Yes, exactly.
So that would be cool for them to come together eventually and face off.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, I do agree that there are some issues here. I think like the Tony Schiavone stuff was meandering just a little bit too much. Stokely, I think Stokely was fine, but like you almost want him to do something more substantial than just kind of like yell. And then Matt Menard just kind of like deals with him. But it's fine. He's
a little more heel of a manager, preferably.
Yes, he's kind of just a cheerleader for them right now.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But then a cheerleader, but also a guy. What I do like about Stokely, I've always liked about Stokely, is that he, I think, is really good at being the sort of, not necessarily like chicken shit, but like, the sort of, he's willing to look like a fool.
Yeah.
I think that always works well, especially when it comes to heels.
Good old school thing for a manager.
FTR obviously doing their classic spot of 2 submission holds on them and then reaching out to each other, and having Stokely kind of like dive in to like try to join them, I think is a fun bit.
I could not believe they did that spot again in this match. I was like,
Scotty,
really?
they do this spot all the time.
I know they do, but I was like, for Daniel Garcia and Nigel? I mean, I guess they have submissions, but I was like, weird. I was like, because obviously, like that spot is planted in your head ever since the DIY match, which I don't know if you guys know, this is like a decade ago now. And we're still doing it. We're still doing it. It's crazy.
A decade of dreams, indeed.
Yeah, I think it was 2016. So
still
decade essentially of like
still
doing the same spot in every big match you have. Is kind of funny. And it's like, it's not even like, I feel like it's not even a spot people realize in like that. So like no one cares as much. It's like, oh, they're just both in submissions. It might match by then. It's not like, oh my god, it's from their first classic or whatever. It's like, whatever.
I think the true nerds are the only ones going to pick up on that what that spot truly is. But
for sure. I mean, to be fair, if you've seen it once, you've seen it 100 times now, literally. So if you remembered it after the first time they ran it back, you'll never forget it.
Yeah. Stretcher match. Next match, Ricochet versus Mark Briscoe. This match fucking ruled as well. Scotty, what'd you think of it?
Mark Briscoe's out of his freaking mind.
His gourd is out of his brain.
I think the best story of this is him growing hair for the match.
I know, right? That reveal of, oh yeah, he grew hair for this match. I was like, yes. I was
like, that is funny.
That is what makes Mark Briscoe great, in my opinion.
I think I agree with the many of like, I don't know if I expected to land at this spot, but the fact that I am rooting for Ricochet to be a champion now is very weird.
Yeah.
As you know, kind of just went on here and called him a bum and was like, get off my screen. That was when he was a babyface, though, to be fair to me, because that stunk. But now that he's a heel and just, I don't know, the way he handles himself and is very unlikable, but he also still wrestles like Ricochet. It's just a great combination that he has found out and figured out. And it's one of those things where if you are a wrestler who is not clicking, you have to look at Ricochet and be like, I can click in a new atmosphere. I'm not saying everyone should go to AEW. I think there are opportunities to go and change yourself, but it's the opportunity of going to the right place and doing that. And he is, again, like the very clear image of that. Him and Mark Briscoe crushed it. I mean, it was a really fun match.
To say that you loved a stretcher match.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, this is probably as good as it's gonna get for me with a stretcher match because I hate stretcher matches.
Yeah.
Like,
me too.
Like the part of going back and forth, and you could also realize, I think I think we got stretcher match and ambulance match combined and put it into one. By the way,
so the fact, we got to talk about these rules. So the classic stretcher match is get the guy on a stretcher.
Yeah, put him like past the line or whatever.
Yes.
And
I guess
the ambulance match is lock him in the ambulance. Yes. And they did both.
So that made me wonder if it was always meant to be an ambulance, and since it's the first time,
stretcher.
Yeah, first time for both, they were just like, let's combine the rules, or they just wanted to combine the rules, which that's fine too. I mean, a stretcher match, this makes more sense to a certain degree.
For sure.
The moment I saw, put him in an ambulance and close the doors, that makes sense.
This. The moment I saw the second stretcher, I said to myself, "Oh, they have no clue like what the act." Like they were like, "Oh shit, this isn't. We wanted to do an ambulance match, not a stretcher match. We'll just put a stretcher in the ambulance."
Yeah, we'll have,
which is fine. It didn't matter. It was just like one of those funny things that my friend pointed out. They're like, "I don't think this is like. I think they were aiming for one thing, and they were like, we wanted the other one."
But I
agree.
I agree with you, Scotty. But then it's then the thing
of it's way better.
Yeah, does it detract? Fair. No, I think it enhances, because then you have 2 stretchers. You can do 2 as many spots. It picks up the.
Could you imagine Ricochet celebrating after pushing Mark Briscoe past the line? Like that would be the funniest thing. Like, yeah, I did it. And then Mark Briscoe's just like sitting there.
Yeah, he's just lying on a stretcher. It's
like the way they did it is he could close the door and be a dick about it. That was better. It's just like one of those funny things where I was like, this match is probably better because it wasn't actually a stretcher match.
Yeah. It worked better.
Because the line thing sucks.
It's incredibly dumb. Mark Briscoe bleeding buckets, the insane visual near the last bit of the match, last couple minutes of Mark Briscoe with the pair of scissors, mohawk now on his head, bloody as can be, and then doing like the throat.
That was
slash.
Crazy.
I was like,
shout out to TNA.
Shit, this guy.
Tough day to be TNA.
Yeah. It was. Do you think that was a direct shout? No blood, and I think
Mark Briscoe probably had no fucking clue. So we're being honest, he probably just did it because he's that's crazy. What he does. I also like that Ricochet had a second pair of scissors.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that as well.
Good little bit there. I will say, now this is my argument when I watch like a death match or something. Just winning with the spirit gun, a little anticlimactic. I was like, well, I feel like, look at this man. Look at Mark Briscoe.
Sure.
You should have like threw him off or something.
I was gonna say throw him off,
but they had to save it for later in the night. So
yeah, throw him off. I would say like you could have like thrown him into the glass windows of the ambulance or something.
Yeah, that would be a fun
spot. But that I also get, because then you need the ambulance still at the very end. But again, I think that would have been whatever. But you could have thrown him off the top of the ambulance, onto something.
Yeah.
Something indeed. They should have done a froggy bow off the top of the ambulance, and they didn't.
I will say they did the best they could have for this match.
I agree. I think there's
probably no level they could have gone higher, unless you got rid of the stipulation.
Agreed.
A different one.
Above and beyond, I think, everyone's sort of expectations, and I think to a certain degree, Scotty, I think we talked about a preview. This is Ricochet, who's doing the best work of his career right now. Mark Briscoe, who is like the constant MVP for me in this in AEW. That was like, this has a chance to be a really great match, and then it was like a stretcher match, and you're like, I don't know anymore.
Like, it feels like they worked to support each other, right?
Yes.
Like, it is taken down a little bit by the stipulation, but it's these two, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Mark Briscoe,
their bonuses outweighed and were able to creatively figure out the or solve, I guess, the sort of pitfalls of a stretcher match to make it more entertaining.
I did say this mid-show though, Mark Briscoe's not paid enough money. Whatever he's paid, it's not enough.
Like, I think Mark Briscoe ultimately should be getting the contract that him and his brother would have gotten. And Mark Briscoe should just be getting all
the combined deal. You should get all of it. Yeah. Absolutely. Mark Briscoe versus like so many different people, still so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
He unfortunately, Mark Briscoe is the perfect person to put over someone like a Ricochet too.
Yeah.
So like that's the game you play. I had no problem with him losing. He should not have been winning the match over Ricochet. And And he ended up still standing tall in the end of the night. So in a way, it fit him more to lose and then be like, what if I came back?
What if I came back? Don't take a shower. I come back, dried, crusty blood all over.
He wasn't just been sitting there and be like, man, whew, this is commitment.
Well, I don't think Mark Briscoe's sitting there. I think Mark Briscoe's being like, "This is effing cool," you know. I think he
probably was the one that pitched it.
Yeah,
he's like, "What if I didn't clean myself?
Sure.
What if it was just dry blood and I come out? Sure.
Yeah, why not? Sure, whatever you want to do, Mark. You're fine. You can do that. Yeah, this was above and beyond expectations for sure, and already, really good match. AEW World Tag Team Title match, the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, with, of course, their new member MJF by their side, versus the Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. My big issue with this match, I think work-wise,
hurt him.
Work-wise, this was like fine, good.
I think Sammy Guevara is really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say
he messed up a lot.
I wouldn't say really bad, but he is definitely this guy is overpushed for sure.
Overpushed, and his push has went down significantly, and he's still overpushed.
I agree. But work-wise, and obviously they're for me 3 matches deep of all great matches, and they're in a tough spot for me. But I feel like with this one, my big issue is the whole ring story bit. I didn't understand it. So the idea is that MJF wants to get the match over. He's going off of the plan of the Hurt Syndicate. They say, no, we don't want to use your diamond encrusted ring. And then when MJF tries to use on the outside on Dustin, Bobby stops him. And then they smile and they're like, yeah, no, it's okay. And then Bobby spears Dustin through the barricade, and then they're all hugging and smiling afterwards. And so it was like, what was that? What was that? What was the purpose of that? I think the purpose of it was to be like more will they, won't they break up fight between Bobby Lashley and MJF. Mm-hmm. But this is a week after, or less than a week after, becoming a member of the Hurt Syndicate. Why are we still doing that and still doing all those bits?
Right. It's not even a week after. It's days later, is it not?
It's days later.
Don't get me wrong. Don't watch the MJF segments. He's made me not enjoy what I was enjoying the most in AEW for a good couple months there. I can't watch it. I can't stand the guy.
Look, there's an argument because he's gone that MJF is the new Jericho.
Oh, 1,000%. They're the same fucking person. They ruin everything they touch. They stink. Oh, that's a great shout by you. Oh, big credit there. That's not a good thing.
One could argue that is
MJF's 28. Yeah. It feels like he's in the Jericho realm. Holy shit, that's bad.
Lionheart MJF.
But yeah,
I don't like Jushin Liger gimmick, the all white Jushin Liger.
He was coming out the Hurt Syndicate were making their entrance. I saw his name on the board. And I was like, this sucks. I was like, that sucks. I don't like that at all. And then he walks out. He's not even matching. I was like, this is bullshit. He couldn't even wear a suit that matched. Really?
Yeah.
Just you already look like a clown. And then he's is the most annoying part of the match. No. Yeah. I hate that I don't enjoy what I was really enjoying for most of the past couple months now because of him. It's because of him.
I agree.
Get him out of here. Who asked for this? Who is he clearly going to team with to face them?
I don't know.
Is it going to be Wardlow? Holy shit, that would be bad.
I saw someone pitch that they should do this for a couple weeks or whatever, and then be like, "Oh no, we're kicking you out for Wardlow," and Wardlow is the replacement for MJF, and it's that's a fun idea. I don't know if I want that either, but that's fun.
Hear me out though. Let's not add Wardlow.
Yeah, is that an improvement?
Let's also stop trying to make Wardlow a thing.
Yeah,
please. That's my fear though. Is that the pivot for them? Is that the direction? I don't know, and I don't know why this is a direction to begin with.
I don't, and that's the other thing. Like you're talking about, to speak to what you're speaking to. What is the end of this? What is the end goal of all this? Is it Are we truly going to have the end goal be that, they're going to help get MJF the world title? I don't want that. Is the end goal that he's going to turn on them and then take the tag titles from them? With
the
who?
end goal is he is Jericho. He saw something over and was like, what if I was in that? That's what it feels like.
This is a hot thing, and let me get my paws on it.
Yeah, because you're not that Mr. MJF. Oh God, he stinks, huh?
Yeah, and where, like I said, whereas the work rise was like, I think, good enough, the ring MJF bits drag the match down for me.
I think there's a great you know how I know or I feel there's definitely been a pivot for Hangman Page because he beat MJF, right? And I don't think anyone remembers that at this point. And it's like, just look at the directions they've gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's so insane because I feel like MJF always was like in the world title conversation while Hangman kind of dealt with whatever he was doing. Now it's like Hangman's comfortably in the world. Well, obviously, but before that.
Yeah.
And MJF couldn't be further. And that's a good thing. I just wish he wasn't ruining the one thing I liked for a long time. Like you can ruin something else or like just get off my television. That'd be cool too.
What I like about that, Scotty,
is
that
movies there anymore that he can go jump in.
Happy Gilmore 3. Does that start filming? I feel like I feel like what you're talking about is like Tony Khan getting back involved and Tony Khan like seeing MJF as a better character away from the world title picture, which is interesting to me.
Sure.
And obviously he sees Adam Page as a world title contender, which, hey, fine by me.
About fucking time, buddy.
Because it's like, it's around the time where Tony Khan stops being more involved with the booking is when the MJF rise and world title reign happens. And then it's around the time where Tony Khan takes the book back largely. And, Adam Page getting pushed and MJF going down the card a little bit. Still being an important aspect of the show, obviously, in both situations, but less overwhelming of the show.
You know what I was thinking about with MJF? Remember when he re-signed and I was like, this will hurt AEW more than if he left for WWE?
Do you think about that every day?
I think about it every time I see MJF.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot because I skip his segments. But when I do see him,
when I'm forced to see him on the pay-per-view.
Right. When I do see him, I think about that. And I said to myself, my God, would he fit the dog shit that is WWE right now?
Oh, yeah.
He would fit so perfectly.
He would find his way to weasel into the bloodline so quickly.
Yeah, it would be him, Solo Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or he'd be in the John Cena, Logan Paul bullshit that they're doing now.
He could also do. Oh no, he would be in Judgment Day. He would be weaseling his way into Judgment Day because the idea would be to turn.
See, the problem is there's three things we could all see.
Yeah,
and they're all bad.
Yeah, which we'll get to Saturday Night's Main
Event. Which fits MJF to a T.
Yeah. This was, like I said,
the match wasn't bad. It was just like
the match was good, fine.
I didn't care enough to begin with because the Sons of Texas.
It is. I think the work rate, like I said, is good for what it was, but it's the MJF of it all that just drags it all down.
Yeah, I mean the AEW tag division, hilarious place to be.
Yeah, it good for a bit, and even when they were doing of like just beating teams and they just disappear forever. That's still
awesome.
I guess they'll still do it. I don't know.
Oh man, I hope the Sons of Texas disappear forever.
It sucks because they have a pay-per-view. Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Yeah, but that's not a real show. Like they can go back to that. That to me, that's disappearing.
I agree.
Sorry to Ring of Honor. That's like how WWE changed Worlds Collide away from NXT because they were like, wait a minute, all the luchadors are on WWE television.
Well, yeah, yes, you're right. They did rephrase that entire show because like for all their NXT pay-per-views, they now stopped the NXT branding and just
yeah.
But for that show, they're like logo. Fully like, no, we have to make this a big deal. We have to load it up with not gonna say main roster stars, but load it up with people from the main roster. Next match here, AEW Continental title match. Kazuchika Okada defeats Mike Bailey. I thought this was a really match. I thought the beginning was a tad slow for my liking. I think it's meant to be an Okada heat segment, but what's interesting about the Okada character for me is that he the crowd still very much likes him and wants to like him, and they don't really want to boo him. Yet that's meant to be the heat, but it's not really drawing heat and boos in that sense. So it's just sort of like him not really doing much for his first little bit of the match.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right. And then the crowd's like, whenever he like looks to the crowd's like, yeah, we love you or whatever. And then it's back to whatever he's doing, the heel shenanigans he's doing. But latter half of the match I thought was way better. Mike Bailey picking up the pace, obviously, with what he does was way more fun. So like I said, I think it's a match of two things. Okada, his character stuff is dragging down his matches as per usual. But when he goes and actually wrestles, like with someone like Mike Bailey, it ends up being a pretty good match. So it's, like I said, a tale of two matches. What do you think of the Continental title match between Okada and Speedball?
There's always like levels to it with Okada. That's like, it's fine. My dog's barking, so I can only half pay attention. So I'm gonna go take care of that. Just move on. It's not a big deal.
Sure. Well, we'll let Scotty take care of that. I want to do while in the moment. I'll shout out Clay Lewis in the chat. What's up, bro? Hey, how are you? Happy Monday, Memorial Day. Zach Minger in the chat as well. Happy Memorial Day. Yes, happy Memorial Day indeed. Oh man, I still didn't get a lot of sleep. So talking and reading is a difficulty for me as well. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Thank you for everyone in our armed services for everything that they have done, both past, present, and future. We'll move on to the next bit, which is the AEW Women's World Title match. Toni Storm versus Mina Shirakawa. This, is the sort of continuation, not postscript, like, not the sort of Nick Fury showing up at Tony Stark's house, post video, post edit, what is it? End credit scene. It's not that. This is just sort of, I guess it is the postscript of the shadows of the Mariah May feud. We're going to close up the loop here. Mina Shirakawa, she's going to come in. She's now a roster member. We'll give her a title match. Hey, look, we'll give it to you with Toni Storm. You have a connection there. You do a bit. Nice match. I thought this was a nice little match. I thought this was pretty good ultimately. But, it wasn't meant to be anything like largely special. We all know that now at this point, the next match is versus Mercedes Moné. That's really what we're building to. So, this is a nice little like sort of stopgap that does, continuation, wrap up the whole timeless Mariah May feud, and we get to all move on.
All right, can I get my Okada thoughts in real quick?
Yeah, go for it. You can get both.
I do have. Oh yeah, because I do have them, but my dog decided, why don't you not?
Your dog decided to be a dog for real.
Yeah, for sure. How dare you even compare? He's a madman,
That's an end credit scene for our show. Is your picture of your dog that says he's a madman,
Oh yeah. So like with Okada matches, I feel like AEW fans, not you, but most, so badly want to be like, he's fine. He's the same guy every single match he has. Yeah. Because when this match ended, what did I see? He's still the big match guy. And I was like, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Like, the second half was really good, and I know he can do it. I didn't say he can't do it. He just doesn't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference. It feels like, I feel like some AEW fans are like, he can still do it. I'm like, I'm not saying he can't. He just doesn't feel the need to.
The gimmick, in my opinion, is weighing him down.
Oh, 100%. He's not Okada. And here's the thing. I don't really care anymore. Like, I don't, like, any care that I had went out the window probably a few months ago at this stage. Like, I understand he can have the great match and him and Kenny are gonna have a great match, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna have a 5-star super duper classic like they once upon a time did. That just was different.
Yeah. But also
maybe
had like
on
a
Dave's
great
current scale it will. But I mean
100%,
like
100% on Dave's
right,
current
but
scale.
I mean like back then that used to mean something.
Hold on. There's a chance, in my opinion, that match will either break the scale again, maybe, because Dave will overrate it, or it will make Dave perhaps realize that his current ratings are crazy, because he would probably, let's just say in a reality, he might give this match 6 stars and say this is equal to what their first outing was, I believe,
which
the
will be
6-star match,
egregious. It'll
which
be
is like,
egregious.
no, like everyone else would be like,
It's
Dave,
not.
what are you talking about? No, this isn't the same as that
Right.
one. And
That's
maybe
a good point.
it either breaks the scale and be like an 8-star match or something like that,
or breaks it.
or it's like, oh wait, okay, there's no way this is the same as that first match. Maybe my scale is too crazy and bring it back in. That's my hope. But back to your Okada.
I don't think that's happening. But like, so watching Okada, right? And I'm watching Speedball. I'm like, these are like the two most formulaic wrestlers I think I've ever seen in my life to begin with. Like, they both follow the exact formula for their matches.
Yeah.
Right. Speedball gets his spots in. You know them all, right? The big moonsault to the moonsault from the corner, the moonsault to the outside where the guy slides under,
the spinning knee, the spinning kick into the corner,
the knees on the apron, the spinning kick, right? You've seen it all. Like, that's my one problem with Speedballs. It's the same, every time.
I mean, ultimately, not for some people,
not. I like him as a tag wrestler, to be fair.
Not necessarily an issue for everybody. Like, Ospreay is like the same guy every time, and typically,
sure.
Really,
I mean, at the end of the day, everyone hits their own same fucking moves. Like, that's not what I'm saying here. It's just like always the same spots.
Yeah. Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, people change them up when they have spots. Like, it's either he misses on the apron or he hits it.
Yeah.
And
yes.
it's like, and if he doesn't miss that one, he's gonna miss the finisher one.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called. Ultimate Weapon?
Like,
is that what it's called?
Ultimate Weapon. He needs like 2 more moves. You know?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. These two had a good match. I'm not saying they didn't have a good match.
Yeah.
But like, I have to argue against.
I went like 3.5. Like this.
Like that's where I landed, and I honestly thought it was a little high. I was like, because like I'm reading everyone. Oh, what a great match! It was sick, whatever. I was like,
you and me are low. Cage Match has it currently at 8.51.
Really?
Yeah, that I'm like, that's crazy.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's because AEW fans haven't seen a lot of Speedball yet. That might be it.
That's plausible. That's certainly plausible.
I've seen a lot of Okada though, and as my friend texted me during it, I am not watching Speedball Mike Bailey versus American Okada, which just stuck with me because like, I can't say I blame you. Like, just if you're not into formula like this, like, everyone has their formula. I don't want to say like these are the only 2 formulaic wrestlers of all time,
of course,
but they're the 2 formulas where like I know beat for beat where we're going, and it's like, okay, and the same with Okada. Now the drop kick at the end, that was awesome.
Yeah,
the drop kick on the Ultimate Weapon, that was picture perfect, fantastic, great rainmaker to win. So in the end, it was a good defense. You probably still one of his better pay-per-view matches, like it's in AEW, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, still, Okada's not that guy. It's okay, AEW fans.
Yeah, or at the very least, like,
until he gets rid of this gimmick.
Agreed. I think at the very least right now, unless he gets rid of the gimmick, we're kind of because the gimmick is really what affects that first half of these kind of matches. So that's just it is what it is, I guess.
And hearing the commentators try to explain like why Okada doesn't do things is very funny. They're like, oh well, he doesn't like to waste energy. I'm like,
same.
Technically, yeah, you're right. I would have loved to see them call like a Naito house tour. Because like the way they were saying that, I was like, yeah, no, that's right.
Just house tours, Scotty. Some of those other matches are, some of those other matches. Anyways, I
should tour in his peak, I should say.
Yeah, I shouldn't besmirch the maybe retirees. I don't know. Thoughts on the Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa? I gave thoughts on that as well.
Oh yes. It's fine. Yeah, like I don't know. Listen, the 6-month run Mina had in 2023, I'll always remember it. It's long gone though. It's like I always say to people, I'm like, what happened? Like, how did that stretch? Because if you know me, I wasn't a big Mina Shirakawa fan really before like stuff started to take off for her. And even still, like, it's just a blip in her overall work. She's fine. She's a solid wrestler. I'm not saying she's bad, but like at one point she was like at this level that I think people expect her to be at now, and she hasn't been there since she lost the Wonder.
It's the
which
thing
was
of
a
like
long time ago.
Once you reach that new level, that becomes the new bar of expectation,
right? And she hasn't hit it since.
Yeah, and I think you're right that like that. I mean, right? Like a lot of that was based off of her getting her teeth caved in and then cutting that really emotional promo.
Right.
That was off the backs. You can't do that every single feud that you're in.
No,
and so you have to remember it's like kind of what you're talking about. It's like that reaction and that buildup of Shirakawa was mostly from a freak accident. You know, and that wasn't necessarily because of Shirakawa. Obviously,
she raised her own game. Yeah, I'll give her that.
Yeah, it didn't
like
it didn't really come from in ring. It came from promos, right? I mean, her in ring got better. Sure,
her 5-star was really strong for again her at the time.
Yes.
Then she had the big title match, which was really good, and then that happened, and that kind of drove it. And she seemed to be really driven by that to be better, and you felt that. Now it's like, what's driving her?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the answer. She got the contract. She's not, and at the same time, she doesn't need to do that to be over in America. So why do it?
Yeah.
It was fine. I did have the realization during this that Tony Storm's been championed way too much in this company, because they were talking about Jamie Hayter at one point, and how she beat Jamie Hayter for the world title after Jamie Hayter had beat her for the world title. And I said, holy mother of God, this woman has been champion essentially the entire time this title has existed.
Or at the very least, definitely like almost the entire time she's been in this company.
Yeah, it's like crazy. Like Mariah May had how many months as champion? 6?
Felt way longer, but
it felt long. But like looking back, it feels like Tony never lost it for me.
Yes.
Like you remember Mariah had it because it felt long, but until you bring up Mariah, it's like, no, Tony's been champion for the past like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating thing because, like, now we're getting to Mercedes versus Tony. I'm like, is this the first time? Like, I know like the Mariah stuff was a story driven thing, but like, is this the first time Tony's all of her reigns that a match has felt massive?
Yeah.
I think so.
I probably.
I mean, the only ones you can compare are the Mariah ones, I guess. That's it.
She has a combined days currently of 522 across her 4 reigns.
It feels so much longer than that. I guess because she's always in the story for it.
Yeah.
I don't remember the first 2.
I don't remember the first 2.
That's why like I was in shock when they said
all right, I got
Jamie Hayter stat.
I added up all of the combined days listed for everybody else and all of these other 9 champions across, however many reigns.
Yeah.
Give me I have the percentage of the length of time for the AEW Women's World Championship. I have the percentage of what percentage that Tony Storm has held the title in the title's history. Scotty, what is your
38%?
Oh, it is lower. It is lower than 38%.
Lower? I felt pretty good about 38. 25?
25 exact. 25%.
Wow.
A quarter of the time with the AEW Women's World title history, it has been Tony Storm. And keep in mind, And two, keep in mind, Scotty, that she first got the title on September 4th, 2022, 3 years after the company already existed.
You know what that is pretty crazy. Holy shit. You know what it is? I think it's because the women overall have mattered more while she's been champion, which give credit to her all you want.
Yeah.
So that probably makes it stand out more. Did I forget until right now that Britt Baker held the belt for like a year and Hikaru Shida held the belt for a year and like all these different things? I forget all those.
Yeah.
Because they're forgettable.
Yeah.
Tony's first two were forgettable. That's why it slapped me in the face when they said it last night. And I was like, oh, right. But 4-time champion. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with how over she's gotten, obviously. And now it comes to the ultimate match, which is the match that if you want to make All In feel massive, this is the match you should be doing.
Yeah.
Sorry to all the people that wanted otherwise. I understand why you did, because like no TBS title on the line means is there going to be a second women's match on the show? Like natural things like that.
Let's figure that out. We'll figure that out.
Yeah,
later.
We'll figure that out later.
There's a lot of rumblings of the tag titles. All these.
Which is scary. Not because of AEW, just because of the natural women's tags in America.
Yeah,
thing of never having enough tag teams. To begin with. But yeah, I think you can't argue against this match. Like you just can't. You can act like, oh well, the division can't handle, the top two champions being the same. Well, guess what? You want the biggest match. This is the biggest match.
Yes.
You want the match that can come as close as possible to main eventing the show. It's not gonna, but you can come. Sorry, the Hangman's main eventing.
Yes. Yes.
Tony Khan pretty much confirmed that, by the way. They're like, so do you think like Tony Mercedes can main event? He's like, listen, I think we got 2 great main events. I was like, there it is, buddy.
How can you we all love Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné. How can you not in this freaking company?
If Hangman's winning, as long as Hangman's winning, like it's an if until it happens. Like you have to end that show with Hangman winning.
Yeah.
I do think I think Mercedes should win. Is that the hot take of all hot takes? Because I didn't get to Anarchy in the Arena yet, but there is one human being that should be beating Mercedes Moné.
You're right, and that person's name is Marina Shafir. You're right.
No, you're right. God, no. I don't know how many times I gotta watch Willow Nightingale and be like, how are you not been world champion yet? But last night was another like tip of the iceberg of just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
like Tony Storm's been in the company since what, 2022, you said?
Yep.
2021. She's been champion for 25% of the title's history. Willow's been 0.
Yeah.
Why? And for the TBS, she's been a month.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Since she first had the title, Tony Storm, I don't know exactly when she came to the company, but when she won the title September 4th, 2022, she has held the title since that date 52% of the time.
That still feels wicked low. It feels a lot much more. Holy shit. Mariah probably took up the most time.
Yes.
Look, Ryan Jamie.
All of this, Scotty, all of this is building up Tony Storm's Hall of Fame case for my ballot episodes later in a couple of years. So I appreciate it from Tony Storm.
I will say this. I do think Mercedes should win. I don't know what you do with the TBS title she does. I don't really care. She's been the world champion since Double or Nothing last year.
Yeah.
Like she's been the champ. Now you can make her the world champion. Tony gets nothing from beating her.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I think
I agree with that.
I
think I agree with that.
Willow eventually being the one to do it feels like, that would feel like a moment. That would feel special.
It's not necessarily that.
I know she's already beaten her before, but like that.
Yes.
Come on. No one considers that.
I don't necessarily think it's that Tony Storm gets nothing out of beating.
Well, she would get it. Yeah,
No,
it just
no,
shouldn't
but
beat it.
it's that Tony Storm is 1A, 1B with Mercedes Moné, the biggest star of the company. What it's not that she doesn't get anything, she does get something, but why does she need anything more when she's 1A, 1B of the women's company, of the women's side of the roster, right? Someone, let's build up a 1C or at least a 2, right?
I feel like we're here to tell stories.
This company tells stories? I thought they didn't.
Finally again, yes. We're we're furthering the Hangman story, so I'll give them that they're telling stories. And to me, telling a story goes down to Mercedes and Willow and nothing less than that.
I tend to agree. I think that'd be better.
I feel like they've kind of mapped out the next year in many ways through these 2 tournament matches and the 2 matches at All In.
Agreed.
Which we'll talk about in a second with Mr. Ospreay as well. Sorry, folks, you got to wait 1 more year. But
sorry, O2 arena ticket havers.
Yeah, like no offense to you guys, that would have been silly. He can fight someone and have a great match there, and you'll be happy. You'll scream "bruv" at the top of your lungs, and
he'll fight Zack Sabre Jr. or something. And
please don't do that. I've seen that a million. I don't want anything to do with Zack Sabre Jr. Get him out of my face. Especially those two.
He's done nothing wrong. It's just he's just kind of boring.
He's just done nothing right. He's just done nothing right. Yeah, but like Mercedes should be your champion, and that will be a good decision when it happens. And yeah, that's it. And hey, you can do her and Athena for the world title down the line.
Now, my fear there with the Willow.
Do you think Athena's going to ever do anything?
No. No, I don't.
At this point,
Scotty, there's no room.
She is. Do you think she has considered leaving? In all seriousness, like she's got to be annoyed.
You would. I feel like I don't know if she has.
I don't know what she'd leave for, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know if she has been annoyed, but I think with the Mercedes, potentially if the Mercedes stuff and like that bubbling up, and then maybe. Well, it's still kind of bubbling up still, but if that dies down and nothing comes of it, then I would get annoyed probably.
If she's not on All In, I feel like that's your limit.
Yeah. If you're doing
if I'm her,
I would do a Ring of Honor. Well, they're also doing a Ring of Honor show in Texas, but I don't think that's the same idea. But no. I do like
the baseball field and the Ring of Honor show are not the same thing.
How would you feel about women's tag team?
Athena for this?
Women's tag team title match. Athena and Billie Starkz versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford.
I mean, I guess. Yeah. I feel like they're building Willow and Chris for that.
I think they are as well.
Now that they're reconnected. Willow and Chris versus Athena and Billie?
Well, my fear of that is Willow and Chris would. I don't know if she'll be cheered more than the hometown hero of Athena, but it'd be strong.
It's Willow, though.
I know it's Willow, so
Willow's the all powerful. I've decided.
Yeah, well, that's why I did Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, because I was like, then Athena is like the de facto baby.
Do a 3-way tag. Screw it.
Yeah, now we're talking. Let's do 4-way. Let's throw in Harley Cameron and Anna Jay. Let's throw in everybody.
You went one step too far, brother.
Oh, my apologies.
You can throw them in there if you want to. I don't really care.
Yeah. Anarchy in the Arena match. Let's talk about it. The babyface team of Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, the Ops, and Willow Nightingale defeat the Death Riders and the Young Bucks. You're
on an island. I know this. I saw your thought on Blue Sky. You're definitely on an island.
I didn't necessarily feel like I would be on an island. A lot of people are considering this the best Anarchy in the Arena ever. I don't feel that way.
I think it's way better than last year.
I think it's better than last year. But I do also think
that's the only thing I'm going off of in my head.
I think, however, the music bit, Jump the Shark so hard.
Oh, you didn't like the switching multiple times thing?
No, it's something.
Or do you hate drowning pool?
No, I hate. I'm so excited by the pointer.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's like, Tony, quit it.
That bit I did not like.
That bit was me reminding myself, oh yeah, AEW doesn't know how to be cool.
Yeah, I wish they went right to drowning pool.
Agreed.
After the duh, whatever the fuck it was, the British music or whatever.
The colonial music playing, the little flutes.
Sorry, British people.
It's our music. That's what the Revolutionary War was about.
I was already mad at the point when Willow didn't come out last.
Yeah.
I was like, why?
The music bit for me, the problem with it at this point is that it took something that was natural and and at the end of the day was also a response to, if I recall correctly, the passing of New Jack, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe it was around the time of his passing, and they just played the music.
I don't remember. When did he pass away?
Ooh, I want to say like 2021, 2022, something. Because I remember
he passed away 2021. So yeah, I think you're honestly right on the money.
Yeah, I believe it was a tribute to New Jack, and it became a bit that they continued, and now several years later, we're at the point of.
Well, I think the first Anarchy in the Arena was a year later, actually.
That might be accurate. Maybe I'm incorrect.
Stadium Stampede was 2021.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it wasn't until a year later.
Okay. So maybe it wasn't a New Jack thing, but for whatever reason, I always contributed as a New Jack thing. Maybe that's me. Maybe someone
might have been
still could have been. Yeah, it's certainly true. But it to me, it's taken something that has become like a natural bit, and 2-3 years later, it is kind of forced now. And the reason we became forced, Scotty, was when we went to the Pointer Sisters. That was the point where it's like,
that's really like,
oh my god. Yes, if we just did Drowning Pool, then I wouldn't necessarily feel this way. Now that also being said,
the Drowning Pool, yes,
I popped for the Drowning Pool.
That's good.
When it cycled around the fourth time, I was a little bit like, all right, all right, can we swing like somebody into the speakers?
You feel like I was the first time they did it.
Sure.
When I was like, all right, how many times am I going to keep going? Yeah. So I want to help you. Mm-hmm. Because I did see Original Take, and I was like, well, that's because you were like maybe the weakest. I was like, I can't agree with that. Last year,
I had to, in that moment, I was just like,
yeah, like this was a lot of fun.
Yes.
So I thought this match was a lot of fun, and I thought some of the action was like, you know what I'll say about this one? This one felt more controlled. Like I feel like I didn't have to see the 4-way screen as much, which was nice because I hate when they do that.
Yeah, the split screen
like
thing, yeah.
Willow got suplexed on the barricade, and I didn't see it. I wasn't looking at that screen at the time. What did you want me to do? I was confused.
Scotty, confirmed not a Red Zone subscriber.
I do subscribe to Red Zone. That's the funny thing. But they usually go to one screen when something important's happening, which is what I needed. My attention span couldn't handle it. So like, I will say that I don't remember the one before that, so I can only base it off of last year. Okay.
I'm pulling it
but
up
where
now
where I'm going to help you is that I think there's a limit on what Anarchy in the Arena could be. I do. I don't think it can be higher than match of the, like, I know a lot of people, I saw some people call it match of the year. I was like, no, I just can't. I can't get myself there because these are just, because there's things that I always don't like about them. Just naturally, because so much is going on and it's so long. You can just so easy, like, there's just spots you're gonna forget about. And I feel like if you're forgetting things in a big match, that hurts it a little bit. Now, that being said, thought it was a great match. It was a great match, but I did want to come back there to, like, aid you a little. I didn't want it to be like, I'm gonna dog on Ryan here, because the fact that you agree that it was much stronger than last year, we're fine. I don't care then, because I don't remember the other ones.
Yeah, in the moment, that's how I did maybe question mark.
Yeah,
historically,
my
I don't love it, but
my take was I think this is the best since the first one, but I don't remember the one before last year. And last year I didn't love as much. So that was essentially my thought process.
First one was what was Chris Jericho's group with Danny Garcia?
Society.
Yes, Jericho Appreciation Society versus Danielson, Kingston, Moxley, Santana, Ortiz. Double or Nothing 2022. This has a 9.08 on Cage Match.
What was 2023?
2023 was the Elite, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, and the Young Bucks versus Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, John Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta.
I remember that being good.
That was an 8.73. Then last year was 8.32. Bryan Danielson, Cash Wheeler, Darby Allin, Dax Harwood versus the Elite, Kazuchika Okada, Jack Perry, and the Young Bucks. That
Definitely
one, all I remember that one is Darby Allin hanging from the chain or whatever, getting super kicked in the face. Jack Perry being lit on fire.
Yeah, I think it was better than that one.
I do agree. I do agree. I think this is better than that one. This one currently has a 9.29, which is the current Clubhouse leader is the best one, but that might change in the coming days and whatnot. With more ratings.
I'll just say this. I'll just get it out of the way. My favorite 2 matches were the Owen matches, so make that easier for everyone else.
Yes, I agree.
From the start, and that's my preference of wrestling.
And to be clear, for me, I went 3 3/4 on this one.
I went 4, so we're not. Like
we're not deciding.
I was between 4 1/4 and 4, but I remembered parts that I was like, it's still anarchy in the arena. I can't get myself. Because again, despite having a lot of fun with this match, which I did, I still hate these damn stipulation matches that are yearly things.
Yeah.
But you know what was my least favorite part? The locking the Death Riders in the ambulance.
That was your least favorite part?
I thought it was lame ending wise. I thought a lot of the build of that was fun. Also, Gabe Kidd, where were you here?
Well, I'm gonna put Gabe Kidd in the corner real quick. The ambulance bit, let's
put him in the corner and keep him there.
If that just like your dog in timeout. If
you
that was
man.
If that ambulance bit was timed out better to time to where Swerve was maybe putting his shoes on. Bit. That ending sequence just dragged a little bit too long.
Yeah.
If we got the guys in Swerve pulls out the shoes, we get the guys in the ambulance, we get Kenny Omega one-winged angel off the table, we get Swerve doing the Swerve stomp with the barbed wire shoe, not barbed wire shoes, the thumbtack shoes. Boom, 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 boom. Good. Yeah. Instead, we just spread it all out, and it was just just a little bit too much, too long.
I do have to give credit to someone, mutual on Twitter. They said, which will go back to Gabe Kidd, this is probably the saddest I've ever been seeing Mark Briscoe. Because my God, this entire thing set up to be Eddie Kingston.
Agreed.
And it wasn't Eddie Kingston.
Agreed.
And that sucked. I wanted his music, and I know people don't love when the music hits, but I was like, I need the music to hit. I need Cold World to be blasting on the thing and him just going crazy. And it didn't happen, and it was heartbreaking.
Agreed.
That's the only reason why Gabe Kidd should have been in this. That's the only reason you should have had him involved, is Eddie Kingston was coming back, and every report said he's not coming back, and then he didn't come back, and that hurt it, I think. I will never understand why Gabe is here. You cannot convince me why Gabe Kidd had to be part of this story outside of, by the way, Forbidden Doors in a few months, which they did that with Tanahashi right after to begin with.
Yes.
So that would have been fine to do that, He's whatever. He's always here.
He's apparently a hound of hell.
Yeah, shouts out. When he walked out, I was like, wow, Buddy Murphy looks different.
Oh, that's good. That's 5 comedy points for Scotty right there.
Thank you. Because I did think until they got closer, it was him.
Yeah.
Because Buddy Murphy's pretty big now.
He's pretty wide. He's a wide man.
Yeah. And then I was like, that is not Buddy Murphy.
And then Tanahashi came out, and you're like, man, Julia Hart.
Tanahashi came out, and I was like, man, this guy should not have taken off the time he did for the Best of Super Juniors. He can't walk.
Yeah.
That's besides the point. But yeah, I thought the match was a lot of fun. Swerve and Kenny were really good, especially. I think Swerve is so good. When he walked out as like the Predator thing, I was like, man, this guy's awesome. Willow was awesome when she finally got to do stuff. That was my other critique of this match. Willow and Marina Shafir missed the entire first half of the match. They did the suplex spot, went to the back, and disappeared.
And then we pop back in catering backstage or something, and then we disappear again. And then when they reappear that second time, we are chaining Willow to the ring post.
I know. I was like, they just are holding me back from the cool Willow spot. Now Willow ripping off the shirt, revealing the shirt with Powerhouse Hobbs. I was like, yeah, this is real shit.
That is her
big
Willow.
Wills. She said
Willow taking Powerhouse
Big Wills.
Her taking off her overalls and showcasing the big black and jacked t-shirt. That is the payoff of when that shirt was created, and people are like, I don't know if I want to get this shirt. and that's the payoff of that shirt.
Willow was my favorite part of the match when she got to be in the match.
Yes,
like her going crazy with all the spears and shit. That was awesome.
Moxley she should have just cut her.
I needed a pounce on Moxley so bad. That was my one thing I wanted. I was like, I need it. Other than having her pin Moxley, which would have been sick. Just for the love of the game.
I do feel like this will continue in some form or fashion. I don't know before or after All In Texas, but
I also have a great joke.
It feels like it should continue and spin off into the fucking double ring cage gimmick. What's it called? Blood and Guts. It typically does. So at that point, maybe we'll get maybe we'll get a pounce that's so hard, Scotty, that Willow pounces Moxley into the other ring.
I do want to point out I do hate Blood and Guts. So that will be worse for me because Anarchy in the Arena I can get behind because it's fun.
Yeah,
Blood and Guts, hate it. But here's my joke. So Anarchy in the Arena has been the main event 2 years in a row. The moment women join the match, not the main event. Anyway,
not even the semi-main. Not even the semi-main.
No, couldn't even give them semi-main. Unbelievable, Tony.
Yes,
unbelievable. You will not beat those allegations.
Historically speaking, when I'm looking at what was a draw of this show, I won't be looking at the Anarchy in the Arena. I'll be looking at Adam Cole, Kyle. No, I mean realistically, we're looking at this arena match.
There is a fun fact though that Hangman has been the only person to stop Anarchy from main eventing, so that's fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you could say Ospreay because it wasn't Hangman and Page in Anarchy in the Arena.
He was, but he also the first year 2022, the first year they did it, he main evented against CM Punk. Remember that?
Man, remember the good old days?
It took 4 years for Hangman to get back to the spot because of that. Woo!
Yikes! Yikes! Bikes!
Yeesh!
Still very fun, still very good. I think there was a lot of good creative stuff in here throughout. The Young Bucks, shouted out Omega and Swerve. I'll also shout out the Young Bucks because I think they're always bringing creative chaos.
Couldn't stand it.
Way too long. Entrance was way too long. But the gear I enjoyed. the coats and the little.
I thought they're gonna have dyed hair.
The little neck bit. Oh my god. If they came out with white powdered wigs, that would have been fun. That would have been fun bit. I enjoyed the bit of Kenny Omega getting the flag and wiping his butt with it. And then immediately shoving the flagpole into Matt Jackson's ass. That was fun.
It was really good.
It was a really good fun match.
It was really good.
I think we both have a little gripes here and there, but ultimately,
I mean, I remember what everyone called the first Anarchy of the Arena match the match of the year, and I still wasn't behind that. So it's just me in the match. But I will say it was a great match. I'm not taking away from it. Yeah. It's just not my preferred match style, but it was a lot of fun. Once they got to Drowning Pool, the match actually got to the match.
Yeah.
Everything before that, get out of here. But once the bodies were indeed hitting the floor, we were good. Also, Samoa Joe is the man. I just need to say that. I didn't say anything about Samoa Joe, but him just not being there just so you kick Claudio's ass in the back. Someone said that was she dressed like what's the show he's in?
Oh, the clown.
Yeah, I was like, that would have been crazy. That would have been awesome though. I mean, that's Peacock though, so tough. There was a different show going on that exact service during this one, so I don't blame him for doing that. But yeah, everyone did a good job, and in the end, I think it worked. Forgot Shibata was in the match. Forgot Wheeler Yuta was in the match. There was a lot of people in this match. That was my main takeaway. Like, there's a lot of fucking people here. And then, like, let's add Gabe Kidd.
Yeah.
All right.
And Mark Briscoe. I'm okay with Mark Briscoe.
Is Gabe Kidd using the briefcase with the title in it? Is that the gimmick, or is it a briefcase of money?
It's a briefcase with the title in it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That title doesn't fit in that briefcase.
There's that's what I think. But
that's my takeaway. Every time I see it, I'm like,
that shouldn't fit in there.
I can't wait till we get to All In and the briefcase just a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit beefier.
But yeah, pretty good match. Real fun. Semi-main event, historically speaking, Don Callis family versus the Paragon.
Could not believe,
like I said, death spot of all death spots.
Could not believe after that long ass match, knowing what the main event is, having to watch these guys walk out there. I was like, they must be like, holy shit,
Paragon doing an entrance they've done since 2014, 2015, or whatever, 2016.
It's all about that boom, brother.
Okay, I'm gonna bring this up, and I'm gonna bring this up as a conversational point.
And Heartache's a better song.
Knowing that we're an hour and 30 in, and we still have Adam Page and Will Ospreay to talk about, I'm gonna bring this up as a discussion point. Does it? I know we're not like big Adam Cole fans and everything, but does it kind of suck that like these three guys, their peak of their career was Undisputed Era and NXT?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty tough.
Like obviously that was great. Like that was great in the moment, but like they're coming out and they're doing the same thing, even with a different name. They're no longer the Undisputed Kingdom or whatever the first thing was.
The Paragon.
They're now the Paragon.
75 different names to be the exact same gimmick.
They're the same guys, same gimmick, different color. They do the same entrance. They even, Scotty, they do the same entrance to the point where they're still doing all the same poses and leaving space for Bobby Fish. They're not like, Adam Cole still has to be centered. He's supposed to be centered. Yeah. He can't be like offset to make it the three of them more of a triangle. Adam Cole's still center behind Strong. So you're leaving space for Bobby Fish. You're doing stuff that like you've done for the past decade. At this point, it's like even Triple H at the end of his rope booking wise for NXT, before it became 2.0, decided to end Undisputed Era. And we're still doing it. And it's kind of like, this is just sad to me.
Yes. And I think the bigger problem is that the booker could just stop going to this. Like, he could just be like, hey, we're done. But we've gone back to it 7 times now. Like every time someone gets hurt, like, what if we did it again? It's that SpongeBob meme. You want to see me do it again? And then they just do it again and again and again. And I feel bad because, like, I like the three of them. I do. I have a fond spot, especially when they were Undisputed Era.
Yeah.
But that was, again, almost a decade ago now. Like, let's move on, please. Or just be different. Like, that would be nice. If you want to keep them together, fine. I can get over that. But, like, you gotta be different. They are exactly the same as they were when they came into this company. They were exactly the same when they were in NXT. Well, no, they're not. In NXT, they were probably better because they were fresh, obviously. But, like, in terms of gimmick, they're exactly the same.
Can we have them be heels and like change up something?
Isn't that what they did though? Weren't they heels?
When?
Originally, when they came together in this company?
In this company?
Yeah, because they had Wardlow with them or something.
Oh, you're talking about the Undisputed Kingdom when they formed that.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's too many of them. They're all bad.
Yeah, when they first.
What about Adam Cole's 7 factions?
Yes. When they first came to the company, it wasn't Roddy Strong. It was Bobby Fish.
These 3.
Yeah, it was Bobby Fish, O'Reilly, and Cole, and they came in. And I remember distinctly, like the return anniversary show at Jacksonville, Daly's place. them against the Elite, I think, and they won. And I was just like, why? Why did they win?
But why?
Yeah,
no, this is, you know what this is? And this is going to sound funny. This, to me, when they did that match especially, but this to me feels like you're keeping these three together and hoping like you can do that match or something again. Like you can do the big like dream trios match with them or something.
Yeah.
They're not the New Day. Like they don't have the meaning behind them. No one's that connected to the Undisputed Era, you know?
Yeah.
Like if the New Day were to switch sides, all three of them, and be together, no one would bat a freaking eye. They'd be like, yeah, this is great. No one wants these three together. And my problem is, you know what's my biggest problem, I think? I don't think Adam Cole works without these two. So that's the other problem. Because we had him without these two, and that was not great.
I also very much agree. And to a certain degree, also, that kind of ended up happening in NXT as well when he got separated out. It didn't quite pan out. He kind of, at this point, he kind of has to be with them.
Well, did he just like leave?
I know.
Didn't like they just break up and he left like immediately, to be fair.
I know. He left, he got injured, and then he came back, and then they formed, and now they're baby faces again. But they're not Undisputed Kingdom, they're the Paragon.
See, this is the problem. To me, they actually do have to be together because apart they have nothing. I mean, Roddy and Kyle would be great as just a tag team as is. I think I've been pitching that for a while. The problem is I don't know if they succeed. And you can say Roddy Strong, but like in this company, there's not a spot for him as a singles guy outside of having a cool singles match.
Yeah.
I think that's the other problem. We did the Roddy singles thing and it was him yelling at him. So
that being said, I would very much appreciate a Roddy Strong Continental Classic run. I think that would be great. I would very much want that. But yeah, death spot of all death spots. Like I said earlier, I think in the show, pretty good match for what it was. I didn't necessarily think this was a stinker or anything. It was just like very difficult to care for this. But I think by the end, they did a good enough job for what it was. And then obviously they're teasing the Hounds of Hell versus the Don Callis family. I guess Ishii is a hound. The Stone Pitbull is officially a Hound of Hell. Tanahashi comes out as well. So they're doing something. Scotty, before he dealt with his dog, said that, Scotty's back. So that's perfect. Scotty, before you said said that they're building up to Forbidden Door. And I think that is plausible, but I also wonder if they want to have Tanahashi on the All in Texas show as a...
He can't. He retired from U.S. competition. He can't.
New Japan U.S. competition?
Nope, just U.S. competition. There's his final U.S. match.
Fair enough.
I mean, he can very easily. Yeah. But I'm just going by what they said. We can do bullshit
promoting to get out of it.
Yeah. To me,
it would be the first time AEW's done that.
This is very true. That's why I just say the Forbidden Door thing. But honestly, there's part of me that would be really funny to see New Japan's react to that. Mm-hmm. Because New Japan fans are obviously having a great time with AEW as is.
Yep.
I mean, that one I'd fully understand them being angry about. Be like, come on, man! Like you said, it was your last one, and it was already against an AEW guy to begin with. So it's like,
that's a good point.
Come on.
Yeah. Main event. Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament final match. Adam Page gets the win. Will Ospreay. We've sort of already been talking about the outcome of this, but what do you think of the match itself, Scotty?
Thought it was excellent. So this is one of those matches where I'm really tired when it starts, and I'm like, okay, let me get into this. But once I get into it, I'm locked in because everything matters. It's one of the few times I give a shit when it comes to it's probably the most I've given a shit in American wrestling in a very long time for a result. Like I would say Cena at the Rumble, but like based on what's happened since then, couldn't give a shit less, type of thing.
The anticipation towards versus Cena at WrestleMania, maybe.
Right, like that all ruined any thought of that mattering.
Yeah.
This is probably the most for Hangman Maybe not even since he faced Danielson, because I don't think anyone thought he was winning that match. I said he should have won that match, but it was not. I didn't have belief there. This one, despite me still thinking Ospreay was going to win, I had belief because I was like, there's no reason that he shouldn't win this match. I watched that and I helped myself. I watched that Dynamite promo Saturday. I was like, okay, because I had said to you maybe Friday or Thursday, I'm like, I'm not really fully sold on this show right now. I watched that promo, I'm like, boy, oh boy, am I sold on this show, because that's what Hangman does. I still think, I think we finally got to the point where this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I think we finally got to the point where Will's story matters.
Yeah,
is him losing because of the way he sold it. In that lead up, because I'm like, I understand you're the best wrestler in the world. I don't get, like, that was my problem. Like, that was always his thing. Like, I'm the best wrestler in the world. I was like, and you lose. Like, great, congratulations, man.
Yes.
But now, because of how desperate he felt in this match, it's sold. Now he has his story for the next year to get to this spot again. Right? He's going to get this spot again, and he's going to win, and he's going to go to All in London, and he's going to win the world title. I feel so confident about that now, and I think it's the right call, because last year we talked about it, right? And we said, oh, well, not next year because All In's not in London. Why would you do that? Mm-hmm. And that's why I never understood it. This was Hangman's story. It's been Hangman's story. A year ago, when he was heel, I said, he would be a really great heel champion, him and Swerve, all these things. They didn't go with that. They went with Danielson, right? Mm-hmm. They went with Danielson, which was fine. I don't have an argument against that at all. I do kind of now because he dropped it to Moxley, but whatever. I understood it, but I definitely don't care now because Hangman's here. Hangman's back in where he should be as the guy. The baby face of this company. There's not a wrestler I find better in this company than Hangman Page. Sorry, Will Ospreay, who tells me he's the best in the world. Sorry, Kenny Omega. Sorry, there's no one that I think connects to the AEW audience on an emotional level more than Hangman Adam Page. And Agreed. You felt that in this story. You felt that in this build-up from going away from being a heel to being a babyface. He told his story in real time. It wasn't an instant switch. He still has an instant switch, I'd argue. Parts of this match, you can still see that part of him. But in the end, when he hits that clothesline and he plays to the crowd finally. He avoided them all match, and he's like, here we go. It's like, it's one of those things where you're like, oh my God, this is the guy. This is the guy, and he wins. And when he hit big pressure, when he hit the swerve move, I was like, oh man, beautiful. That like, because I like that. Every time Ospreay teases that damn one-winged angel, he loses, and I think that's always a great story, part of his story. So when he went for that, I was like, oh my God, do I have hope? I was like, because there was so many times in this match, I thought when he hit that what's the Stormbreaker?
Yes.
I thought it was over. My heart sunk. I was like, no. But it wasn't. He comes back, he hits big pressure, which was a great spot, great moment in that match. Because if you just know it, and the connection there between him and Swerve, and he hits that big lariat, right? He gets on there, hits the buckshot, and wins. And it's just like, finally. Like, it's been a long road here, and some of it was like a great story told. Other parts of it was just like pure frustration.
Yeah.
As someone who roots for Hangman Page, I know a lot. I know I'm not alone. A lot of people probably were even more enthused than I was, but I was like, this is the first time I've celebrated a big win like this for anything American wrestling since, couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you when. And it's because he's such a great storyteller. I think Ospreay was a great storyteller in this match. Some of the best storytelling I think I've seen from Ospreay in a match, because he does his crazy stuff, but I feel like they were here to tell a story.
The shootout moment, where hidden blade versus buckshot. Great.
Yeah, and then it comes back around, right? Because then he hits him when he goes to the butt. It was very well told. And in the end, the right person wins. They put the big graphic up, and it feels like I don't want to always compare it to this, but it feels like one of those peak WrestleMania, like you did it moments, right? Where they put that card up and it's like, holy, it feels like Cody. I'm going to say it. It feels like Cody. There, I said it. He is their Cody. We always talk about Ospreay can be their Cody. No. Hangman is their Cody, but he can't fail. That's the problem. Cody could fail. Ospreay could fail. That's the only difference. But in the end, he feels like that for AEW. But I think even more important because he, like he said in his post, he is the homegrown guy. This is AEW's guy. Day one, this company is going to be about him. And boy, oh boy, has it been a bumpy road. His world title reign obviously went the way it did.
Dustin Rhodes was right. You got to bet on the day ones.
You got to bet on the day ones. There's not many left, but I don't think there's a better one than Hangman. So yeah, loved the match. It's still a match I do want to go back and watch because again, there is a tired element, but it was my favorite match because of the final couple minutes. I was just like, this is what I want to see. And Hangman's got to win. He's got to win the big one. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
What was great about for them to shove the graphic on the screen, I jokingly said at the top of the show that, in a couple days, Twitter is going to be freaking out over somehow throwing Darby into the All-In Texas match or whatever. Or whatever.
That'd be very Charlotte Flair of it.
Yeah. Throwing up the graphic like that is definitive. This is, barring any, knock on wood, any shit happens.
This is it.
This is definitive. This is it. Which is great. Which is a great feeling to have. Because what that does is there was hope. There was a lot of people, I think, like you, Scotty, that were burned too many times by AEW and didn't want to hope anymore.
With just him specifically.
Sure. But I think Adam Page, being the homegrown top star guy that he is to a certain extent emblematic of the whole. I think, not having faith and hope in Adam Page, you start losing that in the broader sense of the company.
He's what AEW is supposed to be.
He is, we talk about the heart and soul of various different people, right?
Yeah.
He is the heart and soul. It's not split between two guys.
Feeling, and I'd be like, yes, he is.
Yeah,
that is what he is.
He is the feeling. And I think that is definitely true. But I think that people didn't want to hope. They were scared to hope. And during the match, I think allowed you, as you said, to hope in Adam Page once again, and then to definitively look towards All-In Texas. They are telling people that you don't have to freak out. You don't anything. Just get excited and anticipated for that bit.
And I am.
Yes. I think Adam Page should 100% win. I do have some fears that they want to do the journey destination dusty thing, not quite win the big one. I think that's the wrong idea for right now, especially in regards to the Death Riders. Maybe if it was someone else that could have been better, but in regards to Death Riders, I think that would be a bad call.
And to follow that up, I feel like you've done that with Hangman. I feel like you've done the dusty finish without doing it in a world title match.
The only reason I'm thinking that way is because it's like exactly what you're sort of stating. Next year, it feels like Ospreay should be back in England, be back at Wembley, winning the world title for the first time in Wembley versus whoever it is. Ideally, Hangman Adam Page, right?
I was going to say that. I feel like the story is now it should be Hangman Page.
Yeah.
Like it feels like that based on the way this match went and the respect at the end.
Yeah.
If you can nail a year-long reign with Hangman, which I feel like is really easy. Nowadays, I think it's really easy.
Yeah.
that should be your all-in 2026 main event.
I've seen some online reservations about that, just because if we recall his previous world title reign, which was like felt like it should be a slam dunk reign, and it was kind of like a little bit
Adam Cole, bro.
Yeah,
what do
it
you
was
want
a little bit lesser. Adam Cole, Lance
Adam Cole
Archer. But I think this Adam Page is more refined, and I think will be better.
You have a swerve match in your pocket. That's going to be the biggest match. You have a Kenny match, if you want it, in your pocket. That's going to be the other big match. You have the Darby match by default, because Darby's going to come around. This is a different guy.
He has challengers compared to, I think, the first time around didn't really have challengers.
Right. The first time around, when it got to the Punk match, everyone was like, Punk could win.
Yeah.
Well, it feels early, but like he can win.
Yeah.
This time it's gonna be like he has a list of people that you need to see in this. That's part of it.
But back to what I was saying, that the only reservation I have is that like Ospreay feels like he should win next year. Danielson won last year. Do we want to do 3 years in a row of the winner of the Owen wins the world title at All In?
Yes.
Yeah, ultimately I'm like, yes. But there is a part of me that's like, maybe you don't. I don't know. Like maybe I guess you won't do it for Ospreay. Maybe, I don't know. He always loses big matches, which I'll then go and move into my Ospreay thing of, I think the build,
this is the last big match he can lose.
Yes, and I think
long time.
And I think they built that into this match result. We have the promos on Dynamite. Ospreay, I think, as far as I can remember,
he put out who he beat.
Yes, but it's also, as far as I remember, the first time where he sort of acknowledged that, like, I lose some matches that are important. I get it, like that sort of thing. Here and then ultimately saying, like, I want this. I'm proving this. This is what I want. And then losing. And then that reaction to the loss of him in the ring, all sad and mopey afterwards, right? I think that reaction to the loss, I think there's a chance we get, to build into that year-long storyline that we're discussing, Scotty, a potential towards a crisis of faith for Will Ospreay. Am I the best wrestler in the world? I do, in fact, lose a lot of big matches.
Actual story point.
Yeah, maybe I'm not that guy. Maybe I'm not that guy. But build that crisis of faith into him. Maybe we get a heel turn, or maybe we tease something like that. And we wrap it all back around into next year. I'm moving forward with him, and based off the presser last night, Tony Khan's very excited to see how we move forward with Will Ospreay. I am intrigued. This is one of those moments where a story loss for Ospreay makes it interesting. And I think ultimately, we can both agree the way this match result is a more interesting match result than Ospreay winning and Adam Page losing yet again. Because then it's like, okay, then it feels more what next. And maybe they could have figured out in the match, obviously, and figured out what that story is. But here it's like, Adam Page goes for the world title. Will Ospreay, crisis of faith. Maybe I'm not the best wrestler in the world. I think that's a fun bit, because he set that up too. It's like, if I can beat you, I can beat Moxley. Now he's like, I didn't beat Page. I don't think I could beat Moxley. And so I think there's that sort of crisis of faith stuff for him, which I think is exciting.
There's also a fascinating story point for those who remember back in 2023 when it was going bad for Hangman Page, and the report came out that Jon Moxley wanted to help get him back on track with that feud.
Yes.
Now it feels like
the pivots conversation, I think.
Yeah. Now it feels like Hangman Page is going to be the one getting Jon Moxley back on track in many ways, which is a different thing, because Jon Moxley losing the title, it's like, is he back on track? He'll feel like Jon Moxley again, which I think we've slowly tried to get back to, but it just, I don't remember a single thing he did in Anarchy in the Arena yesterday.
He had a fork.
Yeah, he had a fork a lot. No, for sure. He hit Willow with the cutter. That was about it.
Yeah, I don't remember anything else.
so just for those who remember, this was the match. Like, this was the big payoff match in 2023. And now we're here at WrestleMania. I mean, all in Texas. The logos, it's incredible. I do like the graphics, though. I will say that.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a bigger AEW match, and I'll say this, despite my feelings towards John Moxley and how people have come back around to saying, well, that's the point, you don't like him. I was like, yeah, but like, he's also not doing well. Like, the matches aren't good.
I feel like, just real quickly,
it's a payoff if he loses here.
Yes.
Like, it was all worth it. All the shit was worth it.
Yes.
If
100%.
It's paid off with Hangman winning here. And boy, oh boy, it's going to be hard not to make it Texas Death.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think
Texas.
I think the Death Riders, first half of the Death Riders was much like the first version of Timeless Tony Storm. And then the gimmick is too overwhelming and it's hurting the matches. And now in the latter half, it's kind of like the latter half of Timeless Tony Storm, the current version, where it's like, okay, we can wrestle, and then this is just the gimmick surrounding it. I kind of see it as that. I agree. Texas Death, you have 2 months, month and a half to build to that match. You can easily build it to Texas Death. I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what it's going to look like. I think
I've been excited for AEW in a very long time.
Yeah. I think it, and I like I said, people were scared to hope. This match was able to prove to people it is okay to hope. And now, with that definitive match graphic at the end, they are telling you now it is okay to get excited. And that's good booking. That's good promoting. All in Texas. Should be a good show. Get excited for it, folks. Well, that was 2 hours of AEW Double or Nothing, as we expected.
I will see you later, everyone.
No. Do we have time? I mean, I have time. Do we have time?
I have a little time.
We can probably quickly go through Saturday night's main event and this WrestleMania stuff.
Yeah, good.
We'll close out there. So WrestleMania, we got a report from, I don't remember where the original report came from. But basically, it was reported that was it WrestleNomics? Yes, the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation told WrestleNomics on Thursday, this is written up from F4WOnline.com, that the WWE informed the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation that WrestleMania 42, which is next year's, this upcoming WrestleMania, will no longer be taking place at the Superdome on April 11th and 12th. Las Vegas is now considered the front runner. This is a quote from NOLA.com's Anthony McCauley. Quote, after the success of this year's event, the new leadership running WWE, TKO, decided that they would rather hold next year's event in Las Vegas and see what response they get from fans, according to an industry official who wasn't authorized to be quoted by name, which is just a fun ending little quote there at the very end there. So, yeah, it looks like, and obviously there are other things, that is saying Las Vegas. That makes it feel like it would be Las Vegas. It would make sense for it to be Las Vegas. TKO, I believe, is headquartered there. A lot of the people that are working the company live in Las Vegas, so it does make sense. There are obvious other things that people are weary about. Saudi Arabia being one, London being one. I saw people pitch Mexico, and I think that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. They just all said Mexico because they purchased AAA. This is kind of fucking crazy to me, Scotty. It was announced that instead New Orleans will be hosting Money in the Bank next year, August 29th, 2026. And that WrestleMania will be coming to the city at a later date. This is all types of kind of fucked up to me. And I can explain why now. Number one, Money in the Bank being the replacement is kind of crazy to me because it's like, I think they see Money in the Bank as number 2 of their lineup after WrestleMania. Maybe after Royal Rumble, because Royal Rumble was already taken next year with Saudi Arabia.
Well, everything's taken next year, isn't it?
I guess, yeah, you're right. SummerSlam's already taken.
It's not number 2. It's just all we got left.
It's 4th. Yeah, you're right. It's 4th or 5th or whatever. You're right. You are right. They're giving them the scraps, quote unquote.
We'll give you a show next year.
They didn't give him Backlash, so it's not the scrap.
They gave him this lineup. They're like, you can pick. What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want from the leftovers?
But I think the other thing that sucks about this, and I believe it was John Pollock of Post Wrestling that said this, is
WWE, period.
I believe it was a written article. He said that he said something to the idea that it's kind of screwed up that you can have the ink drying on a deal and WWE TKO can just be like, never mind, this deal doesn't exist anymore. We're going to give you Money in the Bank. We're taking WrestleMania away from you and giving it to presumably Las Vegas. Like that's kind of fucked up business wise, I feel like, but whatever.
Two packs of ass.
Yeah. So WrestleMania, we don't know where it's going to be. Presumably Vegas. Now Money in the Bank going to New Orleans. What do you think about all this, Scotty?
Pretty fucking wild, honestly. like here's the thing. I had two thought processes because you and me started talking about it, and we were talking about the Indianapolis thing, which is so confusing in retrospect.
Yes.
And I said to you, I honestly don't really care at the end of the day. Like, it's WWE. Who gives a shit? They suck. But it is kind of fucked up. It's like, oh, by the way, remember when we had which reminds me, literally everything The Rock has done on TV this year doesn't matter. Officially, even announcing WrestleMania didn't matter. Holy shit, what a run for Dwayne. Holy my God, you just had a run of a lifetime. Hopefully your A24 movie's good.
The trailer looked good. I'm excited to see it.
It look good. I actually do hope it's good.
Yeah.
I like The Rock, despite what it sounded like just then. But it is kind of funny that everything he did, everyone was like, "What if we just like acted like it didn't happen?" I wish we could do that whole thing with the Cena stuff, but no, we can't. We're stuck. But yeah, it's like, wow, that's kind of shitty. And I think the shittier part is like, it's going to be more money, right? In Las Vegas, guaranteed. They made the most money they've ever made this year doing Las Vegas. But like when we saw it, like, oh, it's going to be like some international market, right? Like it's got to be a bigger deal than just Las Vegas. No, it's not. And that's probably the crappiest part of it all. It's like, actually, you're just not good enough for us. We're going to Las Vegas again.
And I think it was Dave Meltzer that said that they want to do Vegas more often.
Yeah.
Which like, that sucks. That's boring.
I was like, so are we gonna do like Vegas every other year after next year? Or are we literally just gonna do it every year? Because right now we're on pace to do it every year.
I tend to agree that they might do it every year. And at that point, it's like, yes, Mania is a big fly-in show, but there is a part of me of like,
it'll work.
Is there territory burnout? Is that a concern at all?
I think it'll work because it's WrestleMania. I think it sucks for everyone else involved with WrestleMania.
Agreed.
So the indies are already getting screwed from this because some of like WrestleCon already paid for their New Orleans spot. Was reported by it's a less than a year. Of course it was.
Yeah.
Like that's just what you're doing.
Yeah.
So this sucks for everyone. You have to now go back to the place that I've only heard was incredibly expensive all around and made it super difficult for a lot of these companies to begin with. Right now, you're going to go back there because, again, I know WWE at the end of the day, they only think about themselves. And I get that. Like they're not here to do better for the industry. They're here to do better for themselves.
But Scotty,
but it's the industry moment.
They have to go back to that. Schedule those things within less of a year's time, but then also we don't know if it is going to be Vegas. It has.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Triple H is like, yeah, New Orleans. It's not happening at WrestleMania. It's now Money in the Bank. WrestleMania will be somewhere else.
Thanks,
do you not have the city? Do you not have a replacement?
I don't think they do. I don't think they have anything locked yet. They're probably figuring out. My guess is they're figuring out a date.
Yeah.
I think Las Vegas is for sure. It's the date that they're figuring out now, which could just be Easter weekend again. I don't know. But listen, I think this weekend was an incredible sign of how shit WWE is in terms of product. And listen, I actually heard good things about the NXT show. I don't really count that as the current WWE product, so that's okay. I saw fucking Joe Hendry lost the TNA World Title. As far as I'm concerned, it might be the best show in WWE's year, because that's automatically a win. Whoop that trick.
I thought it's the thing of like, who is Trick? Who in TNA is Trick gonna lose the title to?
It's Santana. They've already set it up.
Oh,
Mike Santana.
For a second,
he's literally on WWE television setting it up.
Perfect. That's good. That is actually legitimately great to hear.
Yeah, which honestly, Trick versus Mike Santana does way more for me than Joe Hendry.
Yeah. I will say, when you said Santana, my immediate thought was hearing you say Santino. And I was like, huh?
Yeah, no, they're doing Santana versus Tavion Heights on NXT, I saw.
Interesting.
Which sounded pretty good.
It's interesting that we're building up the world title feud for TNA in NXT, but alas.
Well, who's gonna watch TNA? Anyways. But yeah, WWE's product stinks, right? Bad. Dog water. Terrible. Really bad now. They have had this, there's been this incredible accomplishment of absolutely flunking and failing the John Cena retirement tour. It's a complete utter failure, and the moment they get away from it, the better.
I gotta look at their attendance stuff truly, but I've heard that, third hand that it's softening. The attendance is softening.
Yeah, it's still strong, but it's not as strong, right?
And it could just be the post-Mania blues, but
yeah. Here's the thing: like, until they have Cena just be Cena, what did Rock on Fruity Pebbles Cena? Until we get back to that, this is and it's already a failure. Like, there's no redeeming it. It's just a matter of saving it before he actually walks out the door, to the point where people can actually enjoy Cena one more time. But that has sucked. Jey Uso's world champion. What more do I need to say about that? Money in the Bank officially has no men's world title match because we have to do Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul and John Cena. That's ass. Who the fuck cares about that?
Sounds like
what else?
Packs.
WWE has like one good thing going for them in terms of my interest, and surprise, surprise, it's Io Sky. I know.
I was gonna say Julia in the women's Money in the Bank, maybe.
Julia is in the Money in the Bank. I'm a little worried for her, but she is.
Me too.
Very worried for her. I'm not a little, very. But like, yeah, this product stinks. Evolution's happening. That's something I'll look forward to.
Same
I know
it's all in Texas, in Atlanta.
Also, the same day, Beyonce's also in Atlanta. I learned.
Who in Atlanta is going to buy that ticket? Well, I guess. Hold on. I was going to say, I guess it's cheaper than Beyonce, but lately with these ticket prices at WWE.
So I do think Evolution will do a good job. I'll say that.
Sure.
Even with the Beyonce thing, because I don't think every wrestling fan's a Beyonce fan. That'd be crazy if they were.
Yeah.
But either way, I think Evolution will be like that. That's a show I will look forward to because it's just not WWE's product. Like, it's just so different. But who gives a shit about Money in the Bank? Who gives a shit about Saturday Night's Main Event 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? They all suck, right? Like, these shows stink. Yeah. No one cares about the build of Cody Rhodes versus John Cena 2. Not a single soul is looking forward to that. Cody Rhodes came back the other night. I was like, oh, right, good for you. Like, that's what they've done. And it's honestly, I said this to Eternal, who's in the chat earlier, because they said, I hope, they said nicely to you, I hope for you, like, WWE's like wrestling gets a little bit better for you and Ryan. I was like, I hope it doesn't. I hope it's so bad we don't have to fucking talk about it anymore, because it sucks as is.
I think we got to open the door real quick to Saturday Night's Main Event. This show
stunk.
Pretty much stunk. There were some things in here that I liked, but overall stunk.
The opening tag was fun.
Yes, fun, fast. I loved how quick it was.
Yes. Compared to the rest of the show. Oh, yeah. My God, it was the match of the year.
Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins defeat CM Punk and Sami Zayn. Zelina Vega defeats Chelsea Green to retain the U.S. title. John Cena defeats R-Truth. Damian Priest, much to Jesse Ventura's dismay, defeats Drew McIntyre in a steel cage match. And Jey Uso defends Logan Paul, WWE World Heavyweight title match. I want to say this to start with, Scotty. Watching this show, I open up the old Peacock. I open up the old Peacock. And I opened up the, I guess, video file of Saturday Night's Main Event, and it said I think it was said 90 minutes. Granted, it was a broadcast of a TV show, essentially. So let's say it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
This is a 5-match card in 2 hours.
Yeah.
With world
same
title
amount
match.
Of time that they do their pay-per-views, yes.
Yes. The pay-per-view is like 3 hours.
At least.
And still 5 matches typically.
Yeah.
Maybe given more time, I would say matches are given a little bit more time, but also probably way more ads than commercials.
Way more ads.
This show, there needs to be said something about that, about how Paul just books 5-match cards everywhere. Even when it's like on a bigger show, like a pay-per-view, it's like, nope, 5 matches. That's all you get. I'm not asking for 12. Like, I'm not asking for
God,
much. No. I'm just saying that, like,
as far as I'm concerned, I could get 0.
You know, it's the thing that he's been doing, which is we'll just put bigger matches or the smaller pay-per-view matches or whatever, like the tag titles, on Friday Night SmackDown. It's like, why don't you just put that on the pay-per-view? I guess you're boosting the television, I guess. And to that makes sense. I think in terms of business, when TV is your moneymaker.
Now that you say that, I do have to say this. WWE TV wrestling has been a lot better this year than I remember it, which is very funny because the pay-per-views are so bad this year. But the TV wrestling, the things that I tune in for, I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I don't remember doing that most years in WWE. I don't know about you, except for maybe when Triple H first took over that first year on Raw and SmackDown. Other than that, that's like the one good positive I can give them this year is that the TV matches are pretty good, but that's because, like you said, they're essentially putting pay-per-view matches on TV.
Yeah.
And they're not, you're not sitting there 3 hours to get to the next one. That probably helps too. Well, you are, I guess, but it's continuously going. It's
now,
not stopping. It's starting.
Obviously, not every single television episode is pay-per-view matches or something, you know.
Sure.
And or even like not the entire 3-hour SmackDown is all of that or whatever, but yeah, they have boosted the TV a little bit, which makes sense business wise, but it is a thing for me of like, can't we just change it up a little bit? Like visually, if I told you that they have a 5-match card on Saturday Night's Main Event on a 2-hour show, and they also have a 5-match card on like a 3.5 hour pay-per-view, you would be like, that's fucking bonkers. But yeah, this show was not great. I thought the tag and I thought the steel cage were pretty good. Jesse Ventura bearing the steel cage match was so much fun to listen to, because at first I was thinking that he was just like healing it up and saying that like, rooting for Drew McIntyre and saying that Priest like shouldn't have done that and done this. But then it became clear that like, no, he hates the gimmick of the match. He hates the like, you should go over these. Because remember, it used to be Escape the Cage like 20 years ago. You know, when we started watching wrestling, it was Escape the Cage over the top rope. I remember in the multiple video games that we played, Scotty, fighting to climb the cage to escape.
I don't even think you could pin in the video games.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you could turn it on, but I think it's just like,
you had to turn it on to do it.
But the rest of the show, Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green, that was so bad.
I skipped it.
Zelina Vega botches.
I saw the 619.
Then can't do it. Decides to just kick Chelsea Green in the face when she wasn't protecting herself, causing Chelsea Green to break her nose.
I can't believe Zelina Vega has a title.
I agree.
It's so wrong. Like, this company, I know it's WWE, but like, you have such better talent than this.
No one gives a shit about Zelina Vega in that crowd.
That too. Like, but just from basis of like wrestling wise, like, what are you doing? You know, like, this is it. This feels mean to like Chelsea Green, who I don't find to be that super of a worker to begin with, but she's better than her.
Yeah, agreed.
And she's over, or at least gets a reaction.
I think a way stronger character. I can't even tell you what Zelina Vega's character is, or even what her motivations are.
Rip off Mercedes Moné.
Yeah,
that's her character. She does the movement and stuff. I saw the video of her doing like the
dance,
the Mercedes dance, and I was like, dude, get over yourself. You're just not that guy.
Yeah, she is Zelina Vega. I don't understand what
I
they
find her
see.
very unlikable too.
I don't
think they see anything in her. I just think they gave her the title because she's been there for a long time.
That not the point. This is the second person to hold this title, and you're already doing gold watch title reigns. Shouldn't have. And I'll say it again. I say it when they unveil this title. Shouldn't have done it. There's no point in making this title if you don't have any ideas for it.
It is funny seeing this title and the IC title exist though, because like one is mattering and is on someone they believe in and is in a story with Becky Lynch of all people, while this one, oof baboof.
Oof baboof indeed. John Cena versus R-Truth. This was not that great.
John Cena exactly what I expected.
John Cena continues, by the way, to change his presentation. You know, they adding the little bow and the little speech they given.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do because he doesn't believe in this, so why should we?
Now, I'll say that. I liked that. I liked the bow. That was the first time
the bow was good.
I was like, all right, this is something.
Yeah.
This is something.
The problem is he's figuring it out on the fly because this wasn't the plan.
Yes. Correct. R-Truth coming out wearing the same gear and losing in 4 minutes. That
was funny. That made me laugh. Yeah. Admittedly, like when the music hit again and it said Ron Cena, I was like, that's funny. Okay. Yes. That's undeniably funny. But the match itself was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. It was aggressively fine. Main event, Jey Uso, Logan Paul. I mean, what are we doing anymore? I mean, what world champion Jey Uso? What are we doing? Logan Paul, the shine is completely off of him. And then it ends.
There's no shine.
And it ends with, you know, not DQ finish or whatever, but John Cena coming out, beating up Jey Uso. It's just like, I mean, look, on paper, Scotty, and I think this is what it is. And I think this is what the problem of Triple H, in a way,
with that Triple H,
is that on paper, what they're doing makes sense, right?
Sure.
Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. That's, you know, Logan Paul's a big star. Jey Uso is someone that they, you know, believe in, they like. This is also, other than Cena, the bottom three of the Royal Rumble, right? So there's like a little bit of that. You know,
bottom's a good word for it.
You know, you're building up to this tag match of Money in the Bank. So you're going to throw in John Cena, which gives you that Royal Rumble finish. Then you throw in Cody, so it gives you that rivalry. Plus, with Cody, and I don't know how on purpose this was, Scotty, but plus with Cody and Jey Uso, they are former tag team champions. So it adds even more into like, okay, that versus the team Hollywood over here of Logan Paul and John Cena a little bit.
Hollywood.
So there is like that element, like on paper, I think that is like logical, good booking that makes sense. In practice, these are the wrong. They have like a casting problem with WWE. I think they have, at least in the world title scene, a relatively decent script, but they keep casting improperly. They're putting, you know, not great actors in big roles. They're putting, you know, popular actors into characters that they don't know how to work and don't know how to be, that they're struggling with. They don't know who to put what where. They are just having the ideas, and the fact that you have the ideas, that's fine.
It's like Triple H is doing the opposite of The Rock's movies. The Rock plays the same guy every time because he knows how to do one thing. Triple H is trying to make all these different people that don't know how to do it. And it's not working. I just like the idea that Triple H is against The Rock so much that he's like, I'm not following your movie script either, buddy. At the end of the day, I don't care. Like, I don't watch everything of WWE product. I pick and choose. Like, if there's a match I want to see that involves like EO or something, I go and see that. Otherwise, the only time I have to really lock in are these shows because we talk about them. But I think I'm at the point where we can abandon Saturday night's main event.
I was gonna open that up for discussion. Do we abandon Saturday night's main event?
Unless they put fucking John Cena versus CM Punk on it, I don't need to watch it.
What was the last Saturday night's main event? Was that any good?
It was Jey Uso versus Gunther.
Was that
a week before he won the Rumble?
Oh my god, really? I don't even remember that.
I wish I could forget
anymore.
it.
There's so many they have so much quote unquote content that I just don't know what they have anymore. God, they air so much shit.
Soon enough, you can watch El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr.
That is true.
In a WWE ring, which, to be fair, will be the first time I've seen him since he left Noah, so that's pretty cool.
The last one was Ripley versus Nia Jax for the title, Braun Breaker versus Sheamus for the title, Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu, and Gunther versus Jey Uso. This was better, but it was still like good, pretty good show, whereas this last one was bad. I feel like I'm in the boat, Scotty, of wanting to give up on Saturday night's main event, but I also feel like we give it one more. See how it is. Like this is the first. I think this is the first one that's a true stinker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this was a waste of my time.
Yes.
Like it didn't even feel quick, and it was a quick show, you know?
Yes. Yes.
That was the celebration of the past couple, because like, oh, it's quick, it's not that bad. Yeah. This was like, oh my god, can this end already? This stinks.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're ending with this? Great.
Yeah.
Hey, at least you know what the good news for you is, right? Is that Worlds Collide's coming around. I know you're excited for that.
Yeah, they did announce some of the Worlds Collide matches. I'm seeing 3 up real quickly.
I have them for you if you want them.
Ricky Saints versus Mystery Man for the North American title for NXT. So there is an NXT match here. What AAA wrestler do you want to beat Ricky Saints for the NXT North American title?
I don't know. Did you see the poster?
The Worlds Collide poster? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Do you have it up?
No, but I've seen it. 1 second. WWE AAA.
While you pull it up, I'll say the rest of the card, which is 6-man tag team match: El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. Ooh, crazy grip there. Versus Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, Berto, and Angel. And then we have a singles match, which honestly, this is a really good singles match. Chad Gable versus El Hijo del Vikingo.
And most importantly, it's Chad Gable.
It's Chad Gable. You're right. That is the most important bit of it, and I'm happy with that.
I got this poster. This is ridiculous, by the way. Stephanie Vaquer is going to wrestle one of the 2 women that they had there. I think it was Dalise and Chick Tormenta. Those were the 2 on NXT. Dalise used to be her tag team partner.
Yeah.
Before she left CMLL. So that's probably what they're going to do.
And that's a fun little bit, you know?
Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with it. It's a fine thing. I'm sure it'll be pretty cool for her. You know, I only bring it up because obviously, like, one of the talking points with the AAA Stephanie Vaquer stuff, but it'll be nice for her to face probably a former friend. This poster's loading. I just want you to tell me what stands out. Wrong thing. What am I looking at? Oh, I'm not uploading to pictures. Idiot. Moron. God,
Scotty. What is he doing?
There we go. What stands out to you here? What doesn't what's not matching?
Is that Mr. Iguana?
That is Mr. Iguana. That's not what I'm saying.
But I'm thinking of like Mr. Iguana, and I'm looking at the rest of these people like, who is
just
Mr.
look up top?
What? Javon Evans.
That's what I'm pointing out. Look at everyone else. They just tossed Javon Evans on here for fun.
Well, okay, hold on. Let me think here.
Chad Gable and Chad Gable, but he's on the card. Javon Evans has no match, so it's so random.
Ricky Saints isn't on the poster, and he has a match.
Exactly. When I saw him, I was like, "What?"
Look, if I had to put matches here together, I would do Laredo Kid versus Javon Evans. That's fun.
Phoenix is on here too.
Phoenix, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee.
Penta's going to be probably Money in the Bank. Is my guess.
Ray Phoenix gets demoted to the NXT show.
Rey Mysterio won't wrestle on the show. Love that he's front and center.
No, he won't wrestle on the show.
It's free on YouTube, which is pretty cool.
Dragon Lee and like Ray Phoenix teaming up versus like Mr. Iguana, Javon Evans and Mr. Iguana stick out like a sore thumb on this poster because just like, what are they doing here? Javon Evans, I guess you could like Laredo Kid would make sense just because of the TNA.
Yeah.
But Mr. Iguana.
Also, that main event's probably going to be the Triple A Mega Championship.
You would, yeah, presumably.
Because Vikingo's beating dipshit like next week.
Yeah.
They speed ran that one. I'll give WWE a little credit there. They bought AAA and was like, what? Why the fuck is Vikingo not champion?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, what do we buy? Why is he champion?
When is that show? And should we talk about it?
June 7th, literally hours before Money in the Bank.
No.
The Triple A one?
The Vikingo Alberto match.
Oh, that's a great question, King. I think it's like next week, but I don't think it's anywhere to be found to watch it. So
yeah, I don't know how to watch AAA anymore. I'll look up Cubs fan to see if he has any information about that. But yeah, that's Wrestle Votes. According to Cubs fan, reported WWE Creative has penciled in the following AAA luchadors for the Worlds Collide show: Aerostar, Chick Tormenta, Dr. Wagner Jr., El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., El Hijo de Vikingo, Laredo Kid, Mr. Iguana, Octagon Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. So we don't know anything about Octagon Jr., Laredo Kid, who technically are a tag team now from TNA. So maybe that's
on the poster.
Maybe that's Dragon Lee and Ray Phoenix.
Sure, why not? It'd be a fun match.
Mr. Iguana versus probably Javon Evans.
Or Ricky Starks.
Mr. Iguana versus Ricky Starks is fucking hilarious. I mean, that's got to be Arrow. Oh, I mean, but Aerostar versus Javon Evans also would work probably. Oh my god.
Javon Evans, like I feel like him and Vikingo would have been the move, right? You want to do something crazy?
Have Vikingo pick up a win?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it when we get to Worlds Collide, but who's going to win between Vikingo and Chad Gable?
Chad Gable's going to lose because masked version of Chad Gable's going to win.
Oh, interesting. Later in the same show?
Oh, dear God. He probably does wrestle twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That show is, so it's free on YouTube 4 hours before Money in the Bank. Sorry, 5 hours before Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
What is that schedule? Like what are they doing?
I think it's like 2 in the afternoon or something like that. And what? And All in Texas.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, Los Angeles. But isn't All in Texas the same day, or is that's a different now?
No, All in Texas and Saturday night's main event. The next Saturday night's main event on the same day.
What is this one? What is Worlds Collide? They're going against something, right? AEW wise?
No, it's just Money in the Bank.
Okay. Maybe why do I at this point, Scotty, I just think when they're loading up weekends, they're doing it because
no, that's fair. That's fair. As Tony Khan said, haven't seen it like this consistently since Jim Crockett Promotions. So.
All right, I got it here. I again don't know how to watch this show, but it is the Vikingo Alberto Patron show. It is the 31st of May.
So it's next weekend.
Yes. So don't know how to watch it. That's fine. I'm sure I'll be able to watchable somewhere. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe, just because it's like now WWE lore.
Talk about the result.
Yeah. The semi-main event is interesting. Galeno Del Mal and El Hijo de Dr. Wagner versus Mecha Wolf and El Mesias. He's the
so does this mean Galeno Del Mal is technically a WWE roster member, or does he not have a AAA contract?
Well, I guess technically the deal isn't finalized until the fall, but they could, I guess, sign people up to WWE contracts, assuming they don't have AAA contracts.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I'm not going to think about that part of it too hard until we get to next year.
Company stinks.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Marigold shine forever. We didn't get to the full show, but look, we're gonna open up to Scotty's plugs. But if you're gonna watch, if you want to,
that covered.
If you want to hear Scotty's thoughts on it, there's several ways to hear that. And Scotty, what are those ways?
Yes, you can follow me at Scotty Wrestling on all social media, Blue Sky, Twitter, whichever you prefer. Check out youtube.com/@ScottEWrestling. That's where I put all of my content that really isn't Ring Post Radio or the newsletter at this stage of the game. Everything else goes on there. My Marigold Shine Forever 2025 review is up there now. If you want to check it out, full review, 2 hours, 13 minutes, everything you need to know about that show. Very excited about Marigold as a whole. So if you want to listen to that, kind of get into it, that's the one to do it. Yeah. And I guess I have to have a match of the week, huh? I guess I'll just pick from that show and make my life easier so we can talk about it. I'll pick Nanai Takahashi versus Miku Aono in Nanai's final match, Final Passion. She is now retired, and I am now sad again. So, I'm done with these retirements. I've had enough.
If this is the Final Passion, does that mean she no longer has any passion, or
no? She does have passion. She actually said that her new goal now is to spread more passion. It's just the Final Passion match.
But how do you spread passion without injecting it into passion injection matches?
Well, she has the passion commandments, so you're fine.
The what? The
passion commandments, yeah.
We're not touching that. We do not have time enough to touch that. Any other bits? Any other
stuff? No, I think that's it. I think I'm good.
My plugs are listen to The Ballot. I got a lot of good compliments about the latest Sabu episode, which was really nice to see. A lot of people really enjoyed that. We got a great lineup of voices of various people, past and maybe hopefully future guests on that little bit. I was able to reach out to and get some audio from them discussing Sabu, his sort of career, the connection to him, and his Hall of Fame candidacy. Because he's not on it officially yet, but presumably it looks like he will be on it this fall. So yeah, you can listen to that. There's obviously also a great episode with Scotty and Trent from the old Stardom Road days discussing the candidacy of Io Shirai. So definitely go check that out. My match of the week for sure will be Mayu Iwatani versus Victoria Yuzuki at Marigold Shine Forever. Marigold Shine Forever. I thought that was one of my favorite matches.
Shit, baby.
I really liked it.
That match was
Mayu Iwatani, good wrestler. Fun fact.
Champion once again. Took 3 weeks.
Yes, she is. She should just do the money gimmick and just like get every belt all the time. I was gonna say the GC women's, but that's probably gonna go to.
She's already worn. This is good. Yeah, that made official. Literally during the show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know she's already worn the Superfly more than she wore the IWGP?
That's hilarious.
She never put it around her waist once because she didn't like it.
That's hilarious.
She didn't like the actual belt. That's why it was always around her neck. You gotta read the tweet I just sent you.
I am.
I couldn't believe
TNA nonsense. TNA nonsense indeed.
Specifically her, though.
Yeah.
Just the worst. TNA's bad. Oh yeah, that's good. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, that is it for us from here. Thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Ring Post Radio. You can follow us wherever you get podcasts. Please subscribe. Please leave a review. We would greatly appreciate it. And you can make sure to listen to every Ring Post Radio the more it comes out. Listen to watch the YouTube versions. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube. You listen to the audio. Please subscribe there as well. Next week, we'll be back on Sunday. We'll be back, presumably moving forward on Sunday for a while. We'll figure out all the other stuff. But back to the old days of when there's a AEW pay-per-view and we have to discuss it a week later. Back to those old days.
Well, they'll be back to Saturdays starting with the next one.
Yeah.
All on Saturday. So
that's true. That is true. And look, I mean, worst case scenario, Scotty, I would work until 5:30 and maybe we do those become Ring Post Radio nights on Monday nights. So we'll figure that out. Ultimately, next week, I think Oh, technically, we maybe should have previewed the finals of the Best of Super Juniors, because next week, June 1st, is when we'd be discussing, and that is the finals of the Best of Super Juniors. So I guess ideally we'll try to watch that before we record. That way we can discuss
that. It makes you all feel better. I've watched a total of 1 day because I have no interest.
I'm on day 4, so I'm also behind.
I have deleted so many matches from it. I'm like, I don't feel like watching that. I don't feel like watching that. And I just can't get myself to watch it.
And then we'll preview, of course, AAA, NXT, WWE's Worlds Collide, along with WWE Money in the Bank.
WWE just have pay-per-views every freaking week. Jesus.
Apparently. Yeah. Then they have 2 weekends off, and then they have Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. So get excited. Get excited.
No.
All right. That's it for us for here on Ring Post Radio. We'll be back next Sunday talking more wrestling. Until then, we'll talk to you all later. Goodbye, everybody.